Sleepy town settled for the night, where every lawn is tailored just right. And it's about time that the back porch light comes on. At that house down the street, at that house on Magnolia Street.
Punky, get out of the trash.
Huh.
Hello.
You sent me something the other day that said, Punky, get out of the trash. Didn't you?
Yeah, me and Bella she has this new game where she likes to like draw categories. She has this book of construction paper, and every piece of, it's like, construction paper, a booklet of it is all different color papers. So she likes to flip to a page, and depending on the color, she gives a category, and then she's like, okay, orange, category, cats. Right away, I knew she was going to be like, Punky! So she drew a picture of Punky taking a shit.
That is so cute. What a cute little one.
She's so funny. And then I drew a picture of Punky in the garbage that says, Punky, get out of the trash.
That's clever.
So we had fun drawing Punkies.
Making your own little game.
Yeah. Okay. Hello. What are you?
Baby. I want to sniff you.
Okay, just walk on through.
Rub my balls all over this microphone.
All right. I'm ready to go.
Okay. Hey, Witch, hey.
Hey, Witch, hey.
I'm Christina.
I'm Justina.
Welcome to Magnolia Street, where your one and only musically inspired practical magic fandom podcast.
Every week, we deep dive on different aspects of the movie and the books, as well as treat your ears to our very own practical magic inspired original music.
Today, we're diving into the world of cauldrons. Cauldrons.
Cauldron.
Cauldron. I thought you were going to do it again.
Oh. No, I was going to say, do you remember when we did the Sudbury episode? And
that's all I've been thinking about.
Yeah, we were looking at the IMDb page, and it was like Calderon, and we're like, why the fuck would it be Calderon? And I was like, duh, it's just cauldron in Spanish. Yeah. Punky.
Punky.
He's just standing in front of
back and forth. And put my butthole here.
Okay.
So these iconic symbols of witchcraft that have been used for centuries and rituals and spellcraft, we're going to dive into today.
Yeah. So I just want to begin with a little introduction to this book that I have. I forget. I think my brother or my mom got me this for Christmas a couple years ago. It's called The Wiccan Kitchen, A Guide to Magical Cooking and Recipes by Lisa Chamberlain. And it's this beautiful little red book with some gold leafing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's the front cover is a cauldron. It's just a cauldron on the cover. This entire book is basically everything you need to know to make magic in the kitchen. Cooking and magic have a lot in common. Both use various ingredients and natural forces to create something vital, fulfilling, and new. This book, by best-selling author Lisa Chamberlain, tells you everything you need to know on how to maximize the magical potential of what you cook and eat, including how to choose potent ingredients, ideas for turning your kitchen into a sacred space, and tables of correspondence for the kitchen witch. You'll also find 40 delicious mystical recipes from dishes that harness the magical energies of natural foods to help you manifest goals to festive menus for the 8 Wiccan Sabbats, including, and then they give like a whole bunch of recipes. There's a bunch of soups in here. We're going to get into soups a little later on. So the introduction to this book, this is what it says. Let's just set the stage here, okay? So imagine, if you will, an old-fashioned rural cottage in the age before electricity. Candles light the cozy main room where a woman tends to a boiling cauldron over an open fire in the hearth. Jars of flour, sugar, and other dry goods line the rustic wooden shelves above an oak-topped table, upon which several clay bowls filled with herbs are lined up to be ceremoniously emptied into the cauldron. Insert some bubbling noises here. Right? The brew may be a nourishing soup or stew, a healing medicine, or a potion designed to bring about a specific magical outcome, or combination of the three. Since all food originates within the sacred bounty of Mother Earth, anything that's edible has inherent magical potential, and the woman at the hearth knows this well. In myths and folklore from virtually every culture around the world, food has been associated with magic, and some of these ancient traditions have survived into the 21st century. And it's all in part to the witch's cauldron, right?
I love that. I consider myself a kitchen witch, garden witch /
Same,
yeah.
Same, exactly.
People are like, well, what do you do? What makes you happy? I'm like, cooking. It doesn't matter. And it kind of bothers me if we have leftovers. I'm like, but I would love to make something.
Yeah.
And you reading this, our bodies are like an alchemic tool. Like we're taking this one thing, putting it in our bodies, and then energy or healing or, delight comes out of it. I think
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, I feel like when you grow up in like a family that likes to cook, I feel like you also kind of get that, like you just learn
Yes.
through the ancestry and that kind of gets passed on. I feel like both families that I've nannied for, they don't like really cook,
Yeah.
right?
My
And it's
husband
like
doesn't either.
they don't even do like family dinner every night.
Mm.
And I'm like, has the tradition of the family dinner every night, sitting down to a meal together, talking about your day, that doesn't exist anymore?
I
Or is
think
it
it's
just
gone.
is it just working families that like don't have the time to do that? Like, do people not do that anymore?
I want to know if our listeners do that with their kids or like, because same with the people I nanny, they don't do that anymore. And everybody's busy. All the kids are always in like a million sports and activities after school. So
Right.
everybody's on their own different schedule. But yes,
Exactly.
the families that sit down and eat together, and it's, having a family dinner sometimes is a little tumultuous, but my husband's family, they'll sit down and have meals together, but I don't know. It's maybe more Americanized. I feel like because your family is first, second generation here, something like that. And
Uh,
same on my side.
first gen. My dad's generation. His sisters were born over in Italy.
Right.
My grandmother was literally pregnant with him on the way here, so he was
Yeah.
born here, but like they were coming over. So yeah, they're first gen.
I think that makes the difference.
Oh, 100%. And like if you grow up with a grandmother who like, came over from another country and she don't speak any English, that's the best food you're ever gonna eat. Okay? Just
I
saying.
love that.
Yeah,
I
my
love
nonna, her cooking,
Mm-hmm.
top tier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
And you feel like you inherit that
oh yeah,
special
like I
skill.
grew up in the kitchen with her. Like until I was 8 years old, we lived in the same house as her. We would just go down to the basement because, in New Jersey, if you have a basement,
It's a second dwelling.
yeah, it's a second dwelling, and it was like a two-family home. So it was like the first floor was my grandmother. We lived on the top floor, and then in the basement was where she would go to cook, and the family would convene to eat their Sunday meals. And
I
that
love that.
was life until I was 8. But then we moved close enough that we could go back every Sunday and do
That's nice.
Sunday dinners. And we did that for the longest time. We still do it on occasion for like holidays and stuff. We don't do it
Mhm.
every Sunday anymore, but like we used to do it every Sunday.
I love that.
Yeah.
My mom tries to keep that tradition up because my grandparents were right next door, the Croatian ones. And between the two houses, 3 stoves. So, and we're not a big family. There might have been like 15 people, but
Right.
somehow they all got used
Oh,
simultaneously for meals.
right.
And my mom was born here in the US. Her parents were French Canadian, but she still wants to hold on to that because she grew up next door to her mother-in-law who held that so special, that family time together. And
Yeah.
I know it disappoints my mom because both my brothers still live in town. Both
Mm.
my brothers are married. One has 2 kids, and they don't always come over for Sunday lunch, but
Oh,
everybody has a life.
yeah.
But she just misses her family.
I feel like times have changed so much. Like everybody's so busy on the go nowadays. Like it gets lost. Those
Mhm.
traditions get lost. But if you guys still have a granny in town, go over there for that Sunday dinner.
Yeah. Don't just swing by
Yeah.
for a to-go box.
Oh no, no, no. You gotta sit down. She'll make it a 4-course meal and then espresso afterward, and your ass is staying there till like 10 o'clock at night, and she's gonna keep feeding you if you don't,
Yeah.
you're like, all right, I gotta leave.
I gotta insert that Southern man's TikTok about if you go to like a Nona's house, grandma's house, and she asks you, have you eaten? It doesn't matter if you have or have not. You have not eaten and you will eat.
Oh,
And
you're
you
gonna
better try not to complete the meal. Like, don't empty your plate because you will be offered and mandatory that you take seconds. You know what I mean? So
Uh-huh.
cute.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, my grandmother still rolls up to like family parties with a basket full of bread that she baked like the night before, and she
Mm.
gives everybody their own loaf.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, gives
That's a
everybody their
great
own loaf
gift.
of bread. Yeah. She just turned 90 last year. She'll be 91 this month. And she's still like going hard in the kitchen, like cooking. Like she used to do these huge like feasts and dinners. She can't do that anymore because she's old now. She doesn't have the energy. Like,
Yeah,
it's a lot of work to host parties and family dinners. But now she'll let other people host. It took her a while for her to get to that point to relinquish control.
oh,
Because
oh my God.
she loved doing it. And that was her love language all through the years. But now she's just unfortunately a little too tired to do that anymore. So now she just rolls up with the bread, and that's
I
good.
love that.
Or the artichokes. She loves her stuffed art. She loves to make her stuffed
Ooh,
artichokes.
yeah.
She taught my mom how to make those. So
I love that. It is definitely a love language. Like I moved when I was 23, and I was in California for so long and then we moved here and I kind of inherited. She's probably more my mom's age than a grandmother, but my neighbor Clyde is an amazing cook. Like
Yeah, you're
you will
saying.
never be disappointed. And I just have learned so much from her. Stuff we're not taught, especially like regionally, like
Yeah.
foods like cornbread and okra and black-eyed peas and stuff like that.
Mhm.
We didn't grow up having that, so learning all those new dishes is really fun.
Yeah, that's a whole other like palette that you weren't exposed
Gumbo.
to before. Yeah, like before me and Avi even started dating, I was very sheltered. But now that I think about it, like the most ethnic food that we had was like Chinese food on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Like, you can't live in Jersey and
Yeah.
not drive past a pizzeria and not see a Chinese food place right next door.
Next door.
You're always lumped together. It's the strangest thing. I can't explain it. But yeah, but like me and Avi started dating and like I tried sushi, I tried Thai food and pho for the first time. And like now like I love all those foods. And I'm like, how did I go my entire childhood without exploring these different cultures? You know why? Because my family is very like Italian food. That's all we really want. And like, they didn't really care to expand their palate, but
Easy's easy, if it's
Exactly.
second nature to make it. Like you said, not everybody has time. If
Yeah.
it's quick, it's easy, you know it by heart. You don't have to go out and buy the ingredients. You already got them stored away. I got it.
I
Yeah.
love a good soup though. I don't care
Oh,
like what it is. I will eat a soup.
I can't wait to get into soup. All right.
Get into all the soup.
Yeah. So say again the name of that book and the author.
All right, so this is Wiccan Kitchen, A Guide to Magical Cooking and Recipes by Lisa Chamberlain.
Chamberlain. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Very
Do
cute.
you want to get into the books?
Yeah, let's get into the books because cauldrons are used for, I don't know if they're used for cooking as much as they're used for like the soap making and stuff, right?
Right. I think I was expecting magic lessons to have more just
Yeah.
because they were probably more prevalent at the time, but there
Yeah.
weren't a lot.
Yeah.
There were only 3 that I can find. The other ones that were mentioned were more to do with like, it was like a passing thing. It didn't really stick on the
Okay.
subject of cauldron very long.
Did you search cauldron and pot?
Yes.
Okay.
And it did mention a lot about the iron pot.
Oh.
And we're not going to go too deep into iron because that has a whole other rabbit hole we could probably go down separately. So there's only 3 for magic lessons. The first one, I did not even write the page number, so I apologize. So this says that the roof of Hannah's house was thatched and the chimney was platted with reeds and clay, with a pot of water kept near the hearth in case a spark should catch the reeds on fire. Page 30. Later, as Hannah was fixing supper, Maria came to help her. They had eggs from their hen and mushrooms from the woods. Hannah did not eat beef or lamb. They would have a vegetable soup for their dinner served directly from the cast iron pot. Maria was too curious to stop herself from asking, why did she come here? If she has her own magic, why doesn't she use it? And I believe they're talking about Rebecca showing up that night.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, on page 93, it was a hot night and Maria was burning up. Using the largest iron pots in the house, the soap was so fragrant bees awoke, birds sang at an hour when they should have been silent, and fussy babies suddenly slept through the night. When she was done making the soap, she fell into her bed and didn't wake for 18 hours. It took a huge amount of energy and focus to make this soap, and because of this, whoever used it would benefit and appear younger, perhaps by as much as 10 years.
So she kind of started the whole soap tradition, or was it Hannah who taught her how to make the soap? Did she find this recipe in the grimoire? I don't remember.
I think it's Hannah's, yes,
Okay.
tradition recipe.
All right, so she started this tradition. So even back in the 1600s, they're not really the Owens are they're not really using the pots for making the soup. They're
No,
making soap.
no. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I didn't see any in Book of Magic. Oh, there's only one in Book of Magic. All right. So in Rules of Magic, this is the second book, it chronologically in the 60s. So page 59. Together they lifted the old black cauldron to hang on a metal pole over the wood fire. Ashes floated up in a fiery mist. To the mix, they added roses from the garden, lavender they had grown by the gate, herbs that would bring luck and protect against illness. Sparks flew and changed color as they rose, from yellow to blood red. Baking the soap was hard work, and soon enough, Franny was overheated. Sweat fell into her eyes, and her skin turned slick with a sheen of salt. It seemed like a wonderful science experiment, for the ingredients must be carefully measured and added slowly so they didn't burn. She and her aunt took turns stirring the mixture, for it required a surprising amount of strength. Then poured ladles of liquid soap into wooden molds that were kept on the shelves in the potting shed. The liquid soap in the molds hardened into bars. Inside each was a dash of shimmering color, as if each contained the essence of the roses they'd added. They'd wrap the bars in crinkly cellophane. 159, before the sisters opened the shop on the first floor of the house, they made soap. Prepared in an iron pot on nights when the moon was waning, a pale silver in the sky above St. Vincent's Hospital on the northeast corner of 7th and Greenwich Avenues. And that was it.
I'm wondering, do you think the cauldron, this pot that they make the soap in, do you think that was also passed down from Maria?
That's what I was thinking. But like when it says that the girls are moved around, like this is Greenwich Village. So do they have to buy their own pot? Do you move around with a huge cast iron pot? That seems not easy.
Didn't they bring their own fucking pot to the practical magic shebang when they were whipping up that caustic solution to get rid of Jimmy at the end of the practical magic book? Did they bring their own pot? Oh, or did they bring they brought the bricks, right? The bluestone bricks.
Yes. Bricks.
Way. It doesn't seem like they're like put off by lugging around heavy shit if it's going to get the job done. So
you're right.
I wouldn't put it past them to take this pot with them wherever they go. If it's
That's so funny.
If this is a generational pot,
yes.
Like, it's going to have that magic.
It's going to be seasoned.
Exactly. It's like a
well.
cast iron skillet, right? Like you don't want to mess all that up. So like it's got years and centuries of magic embedded into those fibers, right?
Okay, my question. You know how they say you're not supposed to wash cast iron with soap, but that's kind of a myth now because it was the lye that was in the soap.
Oh.
Is that not so maybe they're making soap in these cast iron pots. I'm so confused.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's like the same as a skillet, like a cast iron pot, right? Because like in a skillet, you're cooking like lard and like you're frying things.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little different than how the method of cooking in a cauldron. Like in a cauldron, you're putting a lot of liquids, right?
Okay.
I don't know if maybe that makes a difference on how you clean the pot. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, we have a little later on about how to clean your cauldron. So
That's right.
We'll find out then.
Okay. All right. So that was it for rules of magic. All right. We're moving on to practical magic. So this starts on page 17. And this says, other girls she knew washed with bars of ivory and sweet-scented camay, while she and Jillian were forced to use the black soap the aunts made twice a year on the back burner of their stove. Other girls had mothers and fathers who didn't give a hoot about desire and fate. In no other house on their street or in their town was there a drawer crammed with cameos given in payment for desires fulfilled. On page 264, Kylie gets a candle from the shelf near the sink. When she passes the stove, she holds her nose closed with her fingers. So stinky, that lie must be very stinky.
Ugh.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the movie a little later on, and the scene where the neighbors show up, and Franny's like, get over here. And they're like, oh my god, the look on their faces is like so priceless. Like that shit must smell so bad. And Franny's like, let me get
it. Brain cells are just...
On page 261, the aunts know precisely how much lye to add to the lime, much more than they include when they boil up their black soap, which is especially beneficial to a woman's skin if she washes with it every night. Bars of the aunt's soap wrapped in clear cellophane can be found in health food stores in Cambridge and in several specialty shops along Newbury Street. And this had bought not only a new roof for their old house, but a state-of-the-art septic system as well. So their soap making, they have taken this to entrepreneurial levels. Like this soap is funding their
artisans
tastes in August stove tree and
yeah. Sally's attire, her $1,500 dresses.
Oh right, her Y2K opulence dresses. That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they need to keep slinging that soap to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to keep this pot around, right? So the next one, this is a long passage, I think, right? This is an entire... Okay, yeah, so this...
Yes, this is at the very end.
Yeah, this is, I guess, the grand finale when they're trying to get rid of Jimmy's, I guess, his spirit and send him back into the depths of the earth. So this spans from 268 to 270. Antonia and Kylie carry the pot out to the yard. The rain is quite near. They can taste it in the air. The aunts have already had the girls bring their suitcase over to the hedge of thorns. They stand close together, and when the wind rustles their skirts, the fabric makes a moaning sound. This dissolves what was once flesh, Aunt Frances says. Dude, she's got
straightforward.
No qualms about disintegrating a body. Just putting that out there. She signals to Jillian. Me? Jillian takes a step backward. But there's no place to go. Sally is right behind her. Go on, Sally tells her. Antonia and Kylie are holding on to the heavy pot. The wind is so strong that the hedge of thorns whips out as if trying to cut them. The wasps' nests sway back and forth. It is definitely time. Oh, brother, Jillian whispers to Sally, I don't know if I could do this. Antonia's fingers. Okay, so the aunts, like, they've done this before. They've done this before. You don't just like, no problem. Here's how to disintegrate a body. And like Antonia and Kylie, like they're young, right? Like
Totally
this
fine with this. They're like 16, 13, 6, in there.
yeah, but this is like they're being taught that this by the elders that this is okay.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
So just saying. Okay, so Antonia's fingers are turning white with the effort she needs to not drop the pot. This is really heavy, she says in a shaky voice. Believe me, Sally tells Jillian, you can. If there's one thing Sally is now certain of, it's how you can amaze yourself by the things you're willing to do. Those are her daughters, the girls she wanted to lead normal lives, and she's allowing them to stand over a pile of bones with a spaghetti pot filled mostly with lye. What has happened to her? What has snapped? Where is that logical woman, the one people could depend on day after day? She can't stop thinking about Gary no matter how hard she tries. She actually called the hideaway to ask if he'd checked out, and he has. He's gone, and here she is thinking about him. Last night, she dreamed of the desert. She dreams the aunts had sent her a cutting from an apple tree in their yard and that it bloomed without water. And in her dream, the horses that ate apples from that tree ran faster than all the others, and any man who took a bite from a pie Sally fixed with these apples was bound to be hers for life. Sally and Jillian take the pot from the girls, although Jillian keeps her eyes closed as they turn it over and pour out the lye. The damp earth sizzles and is hot. As the mixture seeps deeper into the ground, a mist appears. It's the color of regret. It's the color of heartbreak. The gray of doves and early morning. Step back, the aunts tell them, for the earth has begun to bubble. The roots of the thorn bushes are being dissolved by the mixture, as are the stones and beetles, leather and bones. So basically Jimmy's cowboy boots, right?
Ugh.
The
Yeah.
leather. They can't move away fast enough, but still something is happening beneath Kylie's feet. Damn it, Sally cries. Right under Kylie's feet, the earth is shifting, falling in on itself, like a landslide, going down. Kylie feels it, she knows it, yet she freezes. She falls into a hole, she's falling fast, but Antonia reaches to grab the back of her shirt and then pulls. She wrenches Kylie back so hard and so fast that Antonia can hear her own elbow pop. The girls stand there, out of breath and terrified. Without realizing it, Jillian has latched onto Sally's arm. She's holding on so tight that Sally will have the marks of her sister's fingers on her skin for days afterward. Now they all step back. They do it quickly. They do it without having to be told. A thread of blood-red vapor is rising from the place where Jimmy's heart would have been, a small tornado of spite that disappears as it meets the air. That was him, Kylie says of the red vapor, and sure enough they can smell beer and boot polish. They can feel the air grow as hot as embers in an ashtray. And then, nothing. Nothing at all. Jillian can't be sure if she's crying or if the rain has begun. He's really gone, Kylie tells her. Yay, murder!
Let's clean house.
Yeah, seriously. Like, then no problem. And I
And
guess
then they're like, hey, you want spaghetti?
in the same pot that they caustic spaghetti anyone? Yeah. That's pretty much it, right? You said there was nothing for... Oh, there's one thing for Book of Magic. Okay, so this is on page 45, and this says, Jet would never know the end of Kylie's story. Her darling great niece, who had been such a charming, awkward child, who loved to work in the garden and get dirty, who borrowed Jet's novels and sprawled out on the window seat below Maria Owens' portrait to read Wide Sargasso Sea and Jane Eyre. She would never get to meet Antonia's child or spend summer afternoons with her beloved Jillian, canning tomatoes or making soap as they did every year in the old cauldron they set up at the rear of the garden. And that's basically it. And doesn't Stevie Nicks have a song called Wild Sargasso Sea?
Wide Sargasso Sea.
Wide
It
Sargasso Sea.
does.
Yeah.
I've never read it, and I really want to because I like Jane Eyre, and it's supposed to be a precursor to the Jane Eyre story where I don't want to give it away. So
I started listening to that audiobook and it was
Okay.
very eerie.
It's very eerie.
So
Okay, cool.
I gotta finish that book. Yeah. Well, listening to it anyway.
I think it's about Mr. Rochester in the islands, like
Okay.
how he meets the missus the
All
first
right.
time.
So is it like it's a two-part thing or is it like a series of books?
I don't know which came out first. I don't know if she pulled an Alice Hoffman,
Hmm.
but Wide Sargasso Sea supposed to be as the prequel too.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to finish that one. And then also I love how they're like they use the same pot to make soap as they do canning, like to the I guess make their tomato sauce because they can their tomatoes.
I guess. I don't know.
Because
I don't know about all that.
that last sentence says canning tomatoes or making soap as they did every year in the old cauldron that they set in
Oh,
the rear of the garden. So it seems like they use the same pot, same caustic pot for their spaghetti sauce, it seems.
okay. This is the only excerpt that they call it a cauldron, I think.
Uh-huh.
Everything else is iron pot, is it?
I think there were a
Iron
couple, let's see, cauldron. No, Rules of Magic said cauldron in one of the passages.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that was the only other time they referred to it as cauldron. So twice in the span of the 4 books, it seems
Okay.
like.
You don't
Yeah.
want to be too on the nose with these things.
Exactly. Because then, like, if you keep referring it to as a cauldron, then you step into that stereotypical territory that we were talking about that they try to avoid with the witch hats, right?
Right.
Yeah. Also, I do want to say that my family, they try to make it like a tradition every year where they make the spaghetti sauce. Like they all get together. I don't think they grow all the tomatoes anymore. Now I think they just buy the tomatoes because it's like, you don't get a good harvest every single year. It's hit or miss.
Yeah.
So they usually buy the big plum tomatoes and then they'll stew them, add the garlic, the salt. They'll sterilize all the jars and the big
love
boiling
that.
pots of water. And they make it a whole thing. And I think it was like 2020 during the pandemic. Like, you're not supposed to be gathering together. The whole family was like, let's
Make
make some
family together.
spaghetti sauce. Yeah. So
I
we
love
went-
that.
Yeah, and I made some pasta sauce with my nonna, and I made a video of it. It's on my YouTube channel, so I'll post it over on the Patreon. Yeah, it was
Love that. You have
so-
a recorded memory. I love that so much. You have no idea. Because I can remember the smell of like the boiling tomatoes, and it's kind of like, oh, that's a lot,
all the garlic. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember my grandmother using, I know it has a specific name, I'm not going to say it, but it's like a cone with like holes in it, and you press the tomatoes through that and it separates the seeds and all that stuff. And I just remember like being like, ew, that looks gross as a kid.
They would say, "Let's spray me the sauce." I don't know if it's called a spremi,
That's cute.
but then they would also say aratarola, which
That-
they
That's
have
way cuter. Okay.
has like different names. I don't know what the correct name for it is. I think it's just called a tomato grinder. Like you put the tomatoes in and then you turn the handle and then the sauce comes out the bottom. It collects the seeds inside and then you kind of scrape the pulp
And the
off
inside.
of
Yes.
the bottom. Yeah.
Oh, that smell. Now I love it because it reminds me of grandma,
Right, exactly. Yeah. And it's a cute tradition to do because pasta sauce Sundays, it was, a big part of my life for a really long time. My dad still likes to do that. Like he can't go Sunday without his sauce. Forget it.
Oh, let's get into the film.
All right, so the film, there's not a lot of cauldron usage in the entire film. Like it comes up maybe once, if that. The first time that I have listed here, it's kind of more symbolic, I guess you could say, because 47 minutes into the film is that precursor to the infamous Midnight Margarita dance party scene, right? And the aunts, Franny and Jet, are in the kitchen cooking up their magical margarita brew in their, quote, cauldron, aka their blender, right? They're using their blender as their cauldron. And we just discussed this scene in our recent Baneful Herbs episode because the dialogue in this scene, the aunts recite their own rendition of that double, double, toil and trouble poem from Shakespeare's Macbeth. So they say, eye of newt and toe of frog, wool of bat and tongue of dog, adder's fork and blindworm sting, Barbados lime is just the thing, cragged salt like a sailor's stubble, flip the switch and let that cauldron bubble. Wakey, wakey. So give or take, they changed a few lines, right? Because they kind of stole that little bit from Macbeth. I think we also mentioned in our Baneful Herbs episode that they're almost doing this bit like in jest to play into the witch stereotype that their community has pigeonholed them into. So while this is a cute, fun, and whimsical bit that gave us one of our favorite movie dance breaks of all time, I was wondering if we could find some deeper meaning and parallels between the practical magic world and the world of Macbeth, in which their margarita spell is derived from, most specifically in reference to the cauldron. In Shakespeare's Macbeth, the cauldron is a powerful symbol tied to the supernatural and the theme of fate. And is this not a theme in practical magic? Fate, right? It appears in the famous scene with the 3 witches, Act 4, Scene 1, who gather around the cauldron to brew a potion while chanting their iconic line, double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. And here are some key symbolic elements of the cauldron in Macbeth. So number 1, the witch's power and influence. The cauldron represents the witch's supernatural abilities and their power to manipulate and influence events. And think about what the aunts do, right? They manipulated Sally's love life.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And they messed with a man's free will. A man who really wanted nothing to do with any of this. And like,
poor Michael.
I don't know if Michael was aware of this family and the curse and all the gossip that surrounded this family. And maybe he just didn't buy into it. But ultimately, his naivety really came back to bite him in the ass, right? So I do feel for him in that aspect. So as they brew their potion, they conjure visions, and this talking about the Macbeth, as the witches brew their potion, they conjure visions and prophecies that shape Macbeth's actions. Just like the aunts kind of did with Sally, right? They kind of, who knows what spell they did. We don't actually see them doing this spell. They're just kind of like waiting on the front porch for the bell to ring.
Right, just a little push. What does that mean?
Yeah, what did they mean? What did they do? So I'm wondering, what that spell was all about. But
okay, here's my idea of just a little push. It's not the clock ringing noon and then y'all running into the street and kissing each other. My just a little push is noting when that flea market is open. As we know, it was Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from that sign, I think. I can't remember. It was so long ago from Maria's Island. And then going back the next week to see if Michael's there. And then being in the same area. That's a little push, guys. Not a spell. Don't go that far.
Wouldn't it be some shit if they like bought some apples from him and then they like enchanted the apple and then had him eat said apple? Because he's like the man of the apples, right? He's like
Mr. Apples.
He's Mr. Apples. So maybe they enchanted an apple and he kind of like, got taken out by his own, I don't know, taste of his own medicine. I don't know.
The aunt's fucked up.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that, but anyway, so the cauldron serves as a focal point for their dark magic and chaos that they bring into the world. And how the aunts not bring chaos into this entire movie?
Whole plot line.
Like, they started the chaos, and then when Sally and Jillian try to fix the chaos, they leave. They don't even want to deal with their own chaos.
That's so funny.
So, yeah. So it is a vessel of transformation, not just of ingredients, but of Macbeth's fate.
She did the same thing in the book. They caused the chaos with Irene, and when she showed back up, they closed those curtains and did not confront her and made her mute.
That's right. That's right. It's
they
like
are
they're running away from their own fuck-ups, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of like make Sally and Jillian feel like shit. Feel like shit for their fuck-ups. Yeah. But they never own up to their own fuck-ups.
No.
It's just a vicious cycle of this like generational trauma just fucking up left and right, and nobody's fixing anything, and they're all just brushing it under the rug. Maybe that's why the broom fell, because it was like, stop brushing this shit under the rug.
I'm so excited for Practical Magic 2, where we can see maybe how these women learned lessons throughout these years for the better, I hope.
Do they? Will they?
Do they?
Well, yeah, we'll see. Let's see if how close it is to the book. Yeah. So the second one on this list is chaos and disorder. So the witches of Macbeth. The ingredients that the witches toss into the cauldron are grotesque and unnatural. Things like eye of newt and toe of frog. This disturbing mix represents the unnatural disorder that the witches embody and foreshadows the turmoil and moral decay that Macbeth's rule brings. The brewing of the potion in the cauldron symbolizes the way evil forces are simmering under the surface of Macbeth's ambition and how chaos is about to spill over into Scotland. So, interesting. This says that these witches are adding things that are grotesque and unnatural. And what do the aunts warn Sally of when she wants to bring Michael back?
Dark and unnatural.
Dark and unnatural. But here they are, adding their own dark and unnatural bits to this margarita mixture. Well, it's all in jest. It's like not real, like, but like still symbolically, like this is the aunts. This is their moral compass.
But as you told us in that last Baneful Herbs episode, these are just code words.
Yes.
I have new toe frog are code words for other herbs and ingredients. So there's that also.
Baneful ones, right?
Yeah.
Baneful herbs, right. Exactly. They're not mixing up baneful herbs in their margaritas. But interesting though, where did the tequila bottle come from later on in that scene?
That still sticks out to me like, oh, he's a bottle mover. We've said it once, we'll say it again.
But if it's the same bottle that they poisoned him with, and this is the same bottle that showed back up, they're
drinking the poison.
Or they're drinking the poison? So maybe in actuality, the aunts did pour the poisoned tequila into their margaritas. And that's why the aunts got all loopy,
Yeah,
right?
he infected them somehow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So interesting observation, just saying. Number 3 on this list is fate and prophecy. The cauldron is linked to the witch's prophecies, which drive Macbeth deeper into madness and tyranny. It symbolizes the uncontrollable nature of fate in the play. Although Macbeth attempts to take control of his destiny through murder and betrayal, not really betrayal, but murder, right?
Yeah.
The prophecies emanating from the cauldron show that his fate is already sealed by forces beyond his control. The witches' manipulation of the cauldron mirrors their manipulation of Macbeth's ambitions and his eventual downfall.
That makes me think the prophecies, like this margarita scene, at least when they're just doing the shots around the table, is the kicker to letting the aunts know something is amiss. This is the cat's
point.
out of the bag.
Yeah, it's really the turning point of the film. Like, everything was fun and games before that broom fell, and they're like, oh shit. Company's coming. All right, let's leave, Jet. Like, let them clean up their own mess. So, yeah, it was definitely the turning point, and that does lead eventually to almost their downfall if, Gary didn't realize that, oh, maybe, I should fall in love with this murderer.
They need a little help. These girls need a little
Yeah. So number 4, the theme of illusion versus reality. The visions conjured by the witches from the cauldron blur the line between illusion and reality. The apparitions that emerge are both cryptic and deceptive, pushing Macbeth to interpret them in a way that fuels his misguided sense of invincibility. The cauldron, in this sense, is a tool of illusion, showing how easily perceptions can be twisted, especially when influenced by malevolent forces.
Yeah.
In Macbeth, the cauldron is much more than a tool of witchcraft. It's a symbol of the dark forces shaping human destiny, the chaos of unchecked ambition, and the thin veil between reality and illusion. It stands at the heart of the play's supernatural elements and underscores the themes of moral disorder and fate. And we see quite a bit of that in Practical Magic. All, things that are not that moral and...
Things are not as they seem.
Yeah, and messing with fate, right?
Yes. Don't do that.
Exactly. So while Macbeth highlights themes of power, fate, and the consequences of magic, it's a little darker, right? The tone of Macbeth, but the tone and context in Practical Magic are a little lighter, even though we're still talking about murder and messing with one's fate. They do it in a more whimsical way.
Okay. 90s opulence.
Exactly. 90s opulence, exactly. The use of magic. So both the Owens aunts and the witches in Macbeth represent magical practitioners, though the nature of their magic differs. In Macbeth, the witches are agents of chaos, using their magic to manipulate and influence Macbeth's downfall, and they are closely tied to fate and darker forces, and their chant over the cauldron is a sinister call to unleash unnatural forces into the world. In Practical Magic, the aunt's magic is more playful and domestic, though it might seem on the surface, but, we've talked, we beg to differ a little bit. They seem really innocent on the surface, but below, maybe their, intentions are not too, what's the word?
Pure.
Innocent.
Yeah,
exactly. Rooted in family tradition and love. While their version of the chant is done in fun and jest, it nods to the long history of witches in literature and film, including the darker, more dangerous aspects represented in Macbeth. The aunts, though mischievous, are far less malevolent than the witches in Macbeth, as their magic is usually aimed at protection and healing rather than destruction. Yeah, I think they only went into destruction mode after they realized that Sally and Gillian are kind of in a little bit of hot water, so to speak, right?
Yes, they nipped it in the butt. They say, rally the troops.
Mm-hmm.
We got to save this girl.
Yeah. Number 2, fate and free will. In Macbeth, the witches use their magic to plant the seeds of fate in Macbeth's mind, pushing him toward his inevitable downfall. Their prophecy sets Macbeth on a tragic path, showing the destructive power of destiny and ambition. In Practical Magic, the Owens family also grapples with a form of fate, the family curse that dooms the men they love, Francis and Jet, while magical, seem unable to escape the curse's power over their family's fate. However, unlike Macbeth, where the witches revel in the chaos they create, Francis and Jet wish to break the cycle. That's debatable, I think. Indicating that while fate plays a role in their world, they are still seeking control and autonomy. The tension between fate and free will is present in both stories, but approached in vastly different tones. Yeah, I would like to say that, obviously, Practical Magic, Franny and Jet, it is done in a more whimsical way because it's a 90s rom-com.
Yes.
But I feel like there's still some underlying darker tones
Are you
in there.
speaking strictly for the Midnight Margaritas blender as the
Uh,
cauldron scene or
no,
overall?
the
Okay.
overall arc. Like they're meddling in people's love lives, they're messing with free will, and it comes back to bite all of them in the ass at the end, right?
Yeah, part of me is questioning, are they doing this? I know they're doing it for the coin, but like out of the goodness of their hearts, or do you think there's still like a little seed of jealousy in there of like, okay, these women are I'm helping to give these women what I can't have. In
Hmm.
that, I think there could be a little green jealousy under that surface,
I
you
could see
know?
that. Oh yeah, I could see that. Yeah. But like why would they just want to see Sally happy, right? That's why they messed with Michael's free will in the first place. They just wanted to
Yeah.
give her something to make her happy. And when they realize that, you can't do that, you can't mess with the free will, then they're like, "Oh, well, I guess we fucked up." And
They're like, you love that guy? That guy?
you want us to bring him back?
You could have anybody. We can get you anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Griffin Dunn?
Billy Zane?
Billy Zane? Yeah, I'm sure they have all the men on the speed dial. They just have a Rolodex of men. The next one on this list is the chant as a reflection of power. The witches in Macbeth wield their power through incantations using dark magic to brew prophecies and visions. Their iconic double double toil and trouble chant reflects their mastery of dark forces and their ability to manipulate Macbeth's mind and actions. When Francis and Jet recite their own version of the chant in Practical Magic, over their blender, right? It's a playful moment, suggesting their deep familiarity with magic and their comfortable, perhaps even casual relationship with it. However, it also hints at the power they hold, despite the more humorous context. The chant, derived from Macbeth, connects them to the archetype of witches who command magical forces, yet their magic is ultimately rooted in love and family rather than chaos. I feel like maybe they only resort to chaos when it's needed, but
When they're grasping at straws.
I feel like it just follows them, though. I feel like the chaos follows them, and they're always kind of left to clean up this mess.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's theirs, whether it's their family members, whether it's Irene's, like they're always, trying to clean house, so to speak.
Yes.
And it doesn't always work for them. This next one is consequences of magic. So in Macbeth, the witch's magic leads to tragedy and destruction. Their involvement in Macbeth's life ensures that his ambition will ruin him, and their magic is an instrument of his ultimate doom. In practical magic, magic also comes with consequences, particularly through the Owens family curse, which brings loss and heartache. Francis and Jet have experienced these consequences firsthand, as we hear about in My Poor Ethan. Like, just from the garden scene alone, we can tell that the aunts have loved and lost on their own as well. And though they continue to practice magic, they are aware of its limits and dangers, which is why they tell Sally, we can't bring Michael back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so their rendition of Double Double carries with it the weight of their own experiences with magic, loss, and fate. And then lastly, sisterhood and bonds. Both the witches in Macbeth and the Owens aunts function as sisterly figures, though in different contexts. The three witches in Macbeth often act as a single entity, representing a kind of dark supernatural sisterhood that is cold and calculating. They work together to manipulate and influence Macbeth, but their bond seems rooted in a shared malevolent purpose. Francis and Jet, on the other hand, are loving aunts and caretakers, and their bond is one of family and loyalty. Their shared magical practice strengthens their relationship, and they act as protectors and guides for Sally and Gillian. Their sisterhood is warm, supportive, and tied to the preservation of family, in stark contrast to the witches' more sinister alliance in Macbeth. So, while the chant in Practical Magic is a light-hearted homage to Macbeth, the parallels reveal deeper thematic connections, particularly in how both work to explore the interplay of magic, power, fate, and the consequences of meddling with the supernatural and people's love lives and their free will, right?
Yeah.
The Owens aunts and Shakespeare's witches stand on opposite sides of the magical spectrum, but they both reflect the timeless role of witches in literature and culture as figures who understand and wield forces beyond ordinary human control.
Malevolent forces.
It's a little bit about how
I love that.
I was trying to connect the two. Good old ChatGPT. Like, I'm like, how can we connect these two movies? Because I was about to go.
Seems like it would be easy because they use the same lines, but they're so different.
Yes, they are different in tone, but they also maybe have the same kind of underlying darker connotations, if you know what I mean. Like,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
exactly. So anyway, thought that was very interesting. So let's talk about when we actually see an actual cauldron, right?
Hmm.
This is actually more, it does kind of look more like a really large spaghetti pot. It doesn't look like your classic stereotypical like cast iron rounded
It
cauldron.
looks like a canning pot.
It
It's
does.
very deep.
Yes. So maybe they do use the same pot to boil their pasta sauce that they do
Yeah.
to make this caustic lime and lye solution to
Mhm.
disintegrate bones. So the phone tree has been summoned about an hour and 29 minutes into the film, right? And we have arrived at the scene where the phone tree ladies as well as the verbena shop girls show up. Carla and Linda. They show up at the Owens residence to help exorcise the demon from Jillian, and all the ladies are arriving in the Owens kitchen and are excitedly convening when the woman in white and the woman in the purple jacket with the low pigtails, I forget, I don't know what their names are in the movie, but they show up, they walk in the door, Jet welcomes them in and says, "Now's not the time to be shy, grab yourselves a spoon and go stir right over there," and she motions the ladies over to Franny, who can be seen at the back end of the kitchen at that epic Aga stove, stirring away that huge pot of boiling brew liquid. And at that time, we really don't know what it is. They never even mention in the movie what is in that pot.
No.
They never even mention it. But this made me laugh. I never noticed this before. Like, Linda Bennett hugs the ladies before teasing them, and she makes ghost sounds with the creepy crawly stuff in the jar.
Oh, yeah. She shakes it at them.
She shakes it at them, and they get scared, right? Yeah, and her and Carla were playing with, like, I guess Carla had like a tarantula or a spider in one of the jars. So they kind of shake it and they kind of scare the ladies that just walked in with those like ghost noises before finally pushing them toward Franny at the pot. And sidebar, I think this is another reason why I think Linda and Carla are actual witches, because they're getting a kick out of trolling these vanilla ass bitches who just walked in the door, who would have never stepped foot inside the Owens house otherwise, right?
Yeah.
And I'm almost willing to bet that those mason jars belonged to Carla. She probably brought that. She probably brought her
Y'all need
own.
bugs.
Yeah, she's probably like, phone tree's meeting up. Let's go scare these ladies who normally want nothing to do with the Owens family.
Right. What taboo thing can I bring to freak him out?
Exactly. So anyway, so the ladies finally get over to Franny as she's stirring the pot, and she says to them, "You just get right over here, you grab the spoon, and you dig right in." And the ladies peek over the pot. And Franny asks them, "Doesn't that look great? And the fumes? I have to tell you, the fumes are great for the pores."
That was really good.
And at this point, the ladies are holding their noses and they have the most putrid reaction. They're in complete disgust by whatever is in this pot.
What a good actress.
Right?
The
Look at
facial acting in this woman with the low pigtails. So cute.
face. She is so disgusted by whatever is in this pot. And like, you know that feeling, that sensation you get when you put your face over some kind of alcohol or something where you're not expecting the fumes to like smack you like that?
Yes, that's probably what happened.
I'm wondering if that's like kind of what she felt.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, because Franny's saying is great for your pores. So she's like, oh, let me put my face right over this.
Yeah. So maybe it didn't actually like, not that it maybe smelled horrible, but maybe it just like poof,
Shocked her.
It opened up her nasal cavity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So her face just made me laugh so hard. So I had to catch a little screen grab of this. She's so disgusted by the smell. And Franny is just so unfazed by this vat of caustic stew.
Yes.
Like, how often do you think Franny's giving herself lime and lye facials?
Franny's hand is very close to where it is wet on the handle of the spoon. Massive spoon, by the way. So she has done this before. She's got mom hands. You know, she's not mom, but you know how moms can like reach into the oven without oven mitts and pull shit out?
Yeah. Like any normal person, you think maybe she should be wearing some rubber gloves or like
A hazmat suit.
a hazmat suit or something, gas mask, something to handle
eye
this.
protection. Anything.
Something to handle this really hazardous solution that she's boiling on a stove. And we talked in our Baneful Herbs episode, like, you know, you don't want to boil or burn poison like that, especially in an unventilated kitchen.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know if they're opening any windows in there.
No.
So they're all getting high off of these fumes. So the woman in the purple, she can no longer stand the stench and she's out of there. She leaves. She jets out of there. So when she leaves, we get a close-up of the pot as Franny keeps stirring. And in the pot, we can see that it's kind of like reddish in color. Kind of has like a tomato base. I don't know. But it also has some weird brown things floating in it, I noticed. and I got some screen grabs of it. What do you think these are, these brown things?
Firstly, it looks kind of like chicken broth to me. Secondly, those white things I never knew were bubbles. I thought those were like tofu. I don't know, something, but I was like, ew, that looks disgusting. And I think that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
These little ball things, I don't know. Like horse chestnuts? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that this soupy broth looked a little like cabbage soup to me, because when I make cabbage soup, I make a tomato-based cabbage soup. So like it has that red kind of color to it.
Mm.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I always thought it looked like cabbage soup. Like before I had gone back, like I read the book ages ago, so I didn't really remember, what the solution actually was. So for years, I just thought this was just like a soup broth. I didn't know what it was. I was like, why would they make soup and then dump it out on the grave outside? Like, what would that do to it? I never understood, because they never really explain it in the film.
No.
Right? They just kind of like passively be like, all right, here's this magic potion in this pot. Let's dump it on the body and dissolve.
I kind of like that though. Not everything needs to be explained. Like let your audience have a little bit of like, they get it.
Exactly. Yeah, no, you're totally right. But for the longest time, I thought it was just a soup. I didn't realize what lime and lye was. Like I'd never made soap before, so I wouldn't know any better or any different. So when I finally went back to reread the book, I was like, oh, that's what it is.
Okay.
The lime and the lye. And then it all clicked for me, and I was like, okay, all right. Now I know that that will literally disintegrate bones, and that's what it was for. And I'm also wondering, like, that looks like a wooden spoon. Do you think lime and lye would corrode a spoon? Like, do you think that looks like a wooden spoon? Or
I'd be using stainless steel.
Yeah,
in my opinion, because wood is porous, and
exactly.
That would be the only tool you would use. Like you'd have to put like a little label on it.
Yeah,
body disposal soup.
Like I do with my pokeberry utensils, I put them in a separate container out in the shed, and I don't even put it in my kitchen. Yes. But I mean, if they're using the same pot for their spaghetti as they're using for their lime and lye solution, they're probably using the same spoon. The same porous wooden spoon.
Good luck.
Anyway, so the those little things floating around in the soup, those little balls, they kind of reminded me of those big brown things that they put in your soup when you go to eat at like a hot pot place. Have you ever went to eat at like Asian
I haven't. No. What are these?
Yeah. So I looked those up to see what those were. They're called dried longan. Longan. So I was like, what the fuck is a dried longan? I don't even know what that is. So it's simply the product of, this doesn't really tell me much, fresh longan, dried, shelled, and pitted, reserving the meaty flesh inside. In general, small fresh longan are used for dried longan. Okay. So they dried fresh longan to make the dried longan, if that makes sense. So it's a garnish that they use in hot pot soup.
Okay.
And I put a little picture of the hot pot soup below here. It kind of looks like the same kind of deal, right?
Yeah, absolutely does. Even to the water consistency almost.
Yeah. So dried longan, it's used as a garnish, and it's a common ingredient in Chinese cooking and dessert soups. It has a drier sweetness similar to dates. Other ingredients that can be used to garnish hot pot broth include goji berries, red dates, and scallions, and dry longan flesh is also used in herbal medicine to treat stomach aches, insomnia, and as an antidote for poison.
Oh, weird. Okay, let me read this real quick. So longan is a tropical fruit tree native to Asia. It's also known as dragon's eye and lungan. The fruit is yellowish brown and has a mildly sweet and musky flavor. It's commonly sold fresh, dried, or canned in syrup. Longan is a member of this soapberry family, which also includes lychee.
Yeah.
And another one I can't pronounce. Yeah, that's about it on the wiki.
Wait, you said soapberry?
Soapberry. Fruit.
What is soap?
Or no, soapberry family.
Look at that. Hold on. Google soap berries and look what comes up. Does that not look like what's floating in Jet's pot?
Those are so cool.
Granny's
yes,
pot.
It does. So they're not bubbles? Or are they bubbles?
No, not the white stuff. Those brown things floating around in the... Oh, yeah. Interesting.
Weird. Okay.
That does kind of look like what's floating in that broth.
That
right?
is so wild. So what's a soapberry?
Okay, so this is from metaphororganic.com.
Didn't I say a horse chestnut earlier? What did I say?
Yeah, you said horse chestnut.
Examples include horse chestnut, maples, ackee, and lychee.
Wait, acai?
No, Ackee.
Oh, a key. Yeah, I've never heard of that. Look at that. How we been
I'm not saying we know our shit.
Well, I mean, we just be stumbling down these rabbit holes, but they're all leading us to like the right places. So
yeah. Okay.
Blows my...
I'm sorry.
It blows my mind. So this is from metaphororganic.com, and this article is everything you ever, but like never, the N is in a parenthesis, you never wanted to know about soap berries. This was written on October 4th, 2018 by Errol Davis. And Errol says, while working on my post-grad soap education the other day, I came upon the term soap berries in a list of search results. It turns out soap berries, also known as soap nuts, not kidding, are the fruit of several shrubs and small trees in the Sapindus genus. Soap berries contain saponins or soap-like compounds and are most commonly used as laundry or dishwashing detergent. So
Shut up.
Those are fucking soap berries in Franny's pot.
Oh, shut up. How about that?
So it says, why would you use berries instead of detergent? In many ways, soap berries are the ultimate farm-to-table skincare product. As you might imagine, they come with many ecological benefits, but there are also a few downsides to using soap berries. Let's first talk about the benefits of soap berries. Number one, they are inexpensive. You can buy half a pound bag for around $12, and each handful of berries can be used for multiple washes. So they can disintegrate multiple bodies with just one bag of these things.
Holy shit.
Number two, they have a small ecological footprint. Soap berries come in simple packaging and are compostable. If you live in a warmer climate, you could even grow or forage them yourself. Number three, they are great for sensitive skin. Excellent for the pores, right?
This is incredible.
Yeah, soap berries are hypoallergenic and obviously contain no added dyes, scents, preservatives, or other chemicals. So what are the cons to this amazing little fruit? Well, first of all, it takes hot water to dissolve the soap compounds within the berry. If you use soap berries in the laundry, you have to run your washing machine on the hot setting, which consumes a lot of energy. Some people get around this problem by boiling water and the berries ahead of time to make sort of a liquid soap or berry soap syrup, which explains why her pot is just bubbling. Like these soap berries are bubbling.
Hot as you can get it.
Yeah. Secondly, the berry detergent is not as powerful as many other commercial or even homemade products. One internet reviewer claimed she had to religiously pre-treat every little stain. Now let's look at all the ways to use soap berries. First of all, you could use it as a laundry detergent. As already mentioned, you can boil water and make your own liquid berry detergent. A few tablespoons per wash will do, or you could put a handful of berries into a drawstring bag and throw the whole thing in with the laundry. You should be able to get about a dozen washes from one bag. You can also use it as a dishwashing detergent. As with the laundry, you put a small bag full of soap nuts in the silverware tray of the dishwasher, not in the regular soap spot on the door. You can also use it as a personal cleanser, although you could probably rub the berries directly on your body. Making berry soap syrup is probably the best way to get the most washes out of the berries and the least mess on the bottom of your shower.
Wow.
As a side note, Google image search for rub berries on your body yields disappointingly results.
That's funny.
And lastly, you can use it as a shampoo. Berry soap syrup also makes pretty good shampoo. People have had success mixing anything from vinegar to coconut oil with it. Other posts on the internet go into detail about various berry shampoo mixes depending on what type of hair you have. So here's some typical questions people usually have about soap berries. Like, where are they from? If you live in Florida or South Carolina, so Christina, these are down by you. You can try foraging for the Florida soap berry. You can find the western soap berry in the southwestern United States, Sapindus oahuensis in Hawaii, and Sapindus vitiensis in America, Samoa, and Fiji, and the wingleaf soapberry in much of the Americas. So check out the wingleaf soapberry down by you. Maybe you have that down by you. It says, forgive me, the list of soapberries worldwide is more than I want to type. So there's a lot. There's a lot of different types of soapberries from all over the world. So that said, most soapberries that you would buy come from India. These Indian soapberries provide the most cleaning power, and they have actually been used for centuries in the Ayurvedic tradition. So So are soap berries poisonous to humans? This author says, I was about to say you wouldn't normally think of drizzling laundry detergent on your salad, but we're living in the era of the Tide Pod Challenge. Seriously, how worried should you be if you accidentally leave a handful of soap berries within munching distance of the nearest toddler? All sources say eating soap berries probably won't kill you, but it probably will make you sick to your stomach. The same compound that gives soap berries their cleaning power also will lead to gastrointestinal distress if eaten. Interestingly, the saponins are also found on the surface of quinoa grains, but are mostly removed from quinoa via washing. So then it goes into like, are soap berries poisonous to dogs? How do you grow your own soap berries? Where do you
Oh.
get soap berries? It says if you don't have a green thumb or find yourself geographically challenged, you could actually buy them. They are available on Amazon. So perhaps this is back in the 90s, so Amazon didn't exist. So I'm wondering maybe they have their own soap berry peddler on.
I'm sure. Yeah, 100%. These
Right.
look like big white bobas, and I feel like that's the texture you would get, like, like
Mm,
this. They're big.
yeah.
They're like golf ball size almost. Well, maybe a little smaller.
Yeah, that's basically the end of the article, but it says feel free to make soap nut jokes until your little heart turns to lather and foams right out of your chest.
Ah, cute.
So just a little bit about
How
that.
interesting.
So that's gotta be what those little brown balls in Franny's pot are soap
Mhm.
berries.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Wow. I am blown
She's
away.
floored.
I'm floored. That's crazy. So sorry for that side quest. I always wonder what those were. So back to the scene, Sally's arch nemesis Sarah shows up and says, "Ever since I was a little girl, I always wanted to see inside your house." Right? And Sally thanks her for coming. And then one last lady in blue rolls up late and pulls a Mary Sanderson with the dirt devil vacuum.
Mrs. Quick from
Is that-
Sabrina.
So all the ladies are excited and chattering, and the camera pans back to the angle that shows the Aga stove. Franny is no longer at it, and then she exclaims, "Well, ladies, let's begin." She's on the far right side of the screen, chit-chatting away with the ladies. It doesn't even look like she says those lines. It looks like it's poorly overdubbed. But anyway, the huge industrial-sized pot is still in line of sight in the back of the shot, but it's got the lid on it now at this point. And it's impossible to see whether or not Franny shut the pot off or if it's still low, sitting on a simmer. So not really sure, but the lid is on the pot, so she's done boiling this. She put the lid on it probably to keep the heat in, keep all those magical powers in that pot until they're ready to use it anyway. So yeah, what do we think is going on with that caustic stew while they're exorcising the demon over in the other room?
I don't know. Part of me thinks that they would have to turn it off because, as we see, I know this is like a flub in the movie, but we see the girls when they carry it out, Sally and Jillian. I think Jillian puts her hand on the bottom to like
Right.
help pour it out, but that's a lot of liquid to cool down. Who knows how long that exorcism took? I don't know. I wouldn't walk away from that pot with it on.
Right. Yeah, so maybe Franny did shut it off and just put the lid on it to keep it, hot while they were doing their work in the other room. And then, yeah.
Well, is the Aga stove always on? I thought that's what its thing was because those lids cover the burners.
Oh,
So
right.
it must still be on.
You're right. So then Jillian must have, she should have burned her hands at the end when they dumped that pot over
Right.
both of them, right? They're both
Mhm.
carrying the pot with no gloves on, no protective, nothing to keep not just the heat, but the caustic solution from the lime and the lye.
Yeah, I think the handles they have dish rags or something, but one of them puts their hand on the bottom to lift it.
Yeah.
Movies, Hollywood
right.
kid.
So they dump that solution after they all sweep Jimmy's ashes out back into the garden where he was buried. They dump the lime and lye solution from the pot into the ground, and then it kind of fizzles, kind of bubbles up, and the ground kind of looks like it sinks in a little bit,
Doing
right?
jazz hands.
A little jazz hand, yeah. So yeah, they disintegrate the body with that solution of the lime and the lye. Anything else you wanted to add to that scene? Any
It's
other
so
observations?
interesting to see like the ground do like a little settling.
Hmm.
It is like almost like his body and his bones are right then becoming less. So the ground is able to take up that space, which is cool.
Right. My whole question is the ring. Remember? Oh wait, was the ring no, Gary took the ring. That's right. I was like, would that have disintegrated the ring? But the ring wasn't there yet. Gary sent it back to Sally at the end in the FedEx envelope.
Right, but how did the frog get it is the question.
Yeah. How did
Because the frog burps it up.
Right. So it was in the ground, but it's no longer in the ground because the frog took it and burped it up. So Gary removed it from the premise, so it wasn't present in the lime and lye dumping it on there. So
Correct. Yes.
yeah, okay. Initially, I didn't remember that the ring wasn't present for that last scene, and part of me was thinking like, did the lime and lye not disintegrate the ring too? Like what
But he has so many other pieces of jewelry on.
Yeah.
Makes me
Yeah. Yeah. What else? Like, I'm wondering, does lime and lye, is there anything that it can't eat through?
True. Yeah, I don't know. We haven't done that episode yet.
What?
We've done soap, but like
lime
how
and
deep did we get into lime and lye?
Right. I think we just grazed the surface of that. So that might be another rabbit hole we need to venture down
Okay.
at some point. Yeah. But
It was still on our topics list when I looked earlier, so I figured, we got more to cover.
We also do have a song-a-sode for Lime and Lye at some point. We wrote a song called Lime and Lye, right?
We need to do a song episode by November.
It
Might be a good opportunity.
All right, I gotta finish that. I don't think I ever finished that song.
Okay.
Or maybe
No
I did finish
worries.
it. I never recorded it. Yeah, but yeah. Yes, we do have a Lime and Lie song about the aunts disintegrating a body. So
Mhm.
that's a fun one.
Okay, so at the very end, you see the girls go through the kitchen. Everybody's sweeping him out. Who grabs the cauldron off of the stove? Because I thought you see two women grab it. I don't remember who, though.
Do you? Oh, wait, hold on. Do
Okay,
you know that Practical Magic right now is on YouTube free with ads?
shut up. No,
Yeah,
I did not. That
yeah.
makes this easier. I'm gonna say it's the woman, maybe even the woman with the pigtails, but definitely the other lady who put her face near the
Okay,
bubbles with the shorter hair and the
yeah.
cardigan, fuzzy cardigan.
All right, here. I'm gonna share my screen so we can
Okay,
watch
let me
this
let you share.
together. We can watch it together.
Come on, ladies.
Let's clean house. All right, so they're sweeping. They're sweeping. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it was the pigtail lady with the purple shirt on that didn't want anything to do with this solution to begin with, and the other lady that came in with her earlier.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
people who were given the job of stirring took it under their wing to
Yes.
continue their job, finish their job, bring that pot out to the yard.
Uh-huh.
Very heavy looking pot.
Oh yeah, it took two of them to carry this thing, and they are holding the handles with like rags.
Yes. Okay, good. Good,
Yeah,
good,
with
good.
something to prevent the heat from burning them. So, okay, they're carrying it out. Okay, everybody else has the brooms brushing out the dust. So, okay, so they're handing it off to Jillian and Sally, who
Mhm.
I don't think they take the rags from them too. Oh no, they do. They do. Okay, yes, they are. Yeah, they're both holding the handles with the rags, but then Jillian grabs the bottom of the pot. And they both grab the bottom.
Oh,
Yeah, Sally does it at the last minute. They like both like hoist it up because I
she's
guess
like, maybe I should help.
it was so fucking heavy. And it looks like tomato soup at this point, and they
Yes,
dump
it
it
does.
on they dump it on the ground, and the ground kind of sinks in and it sizzles. And they're both kind of holding the pot and they look at each other like, did that just fucking happen? That's the look
Right.
that they give each other. That's basically it with the pot. So, epic scene. I love that. And the music's just like
I know.
we just got rid of a body. Do you think that the phone tree ladies knew what they just helped the aunts with? Getting
No,
rid of a body?
I don't think so.
Do you think they all realized that they were
Maybe.
accessory to murder?
Maybe that's why they're all nice to the Owenses now because they don't want to go to jail either. They're accomplices.
That's 100% true. I never thought of that before.
Incriminating.
Yeah, and maybe they didn't realize till after.
They're all witnesses. They all know. So
What
nobody
if
can say anything.
what if they didn't realize what they did until after they dumped the lime solution on the thing and, the body disintegrated? And then after, what if the aunts pull them aside and were like,
That's what I'm saying.
We have to explain what you guys just helped us
Exactly what I'm saying. They gave them no choice.
with." Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. So now everybody's kosher. Everybody's cool because
Oh my God.
they don't want to go to jail either.
Woo.
Oh man.
Fun.
Realization after realization today.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you. I love that. I love that. Just need to put all the video stuff together and
That
you
was
always make it make sense.
That was fun. That was fun to go down that little. I love every Monday night because I have to get the notes ready for Tuesday morning because we record Tuesday mornings. So every Monday night I wait for Avi to go to bed and then I put on Practical Magic and I'm like, what are we gonna find tonight?
Time for some conspiracy.
Exactly. And I comb back through the movie every Monday night. Monday night's my Practical Magic movie night and I go back through the movie and I try to find
So
shit I
cute.
didn't find before.
I love
Yeah.
that. I haven't watched it in a long time, probably since you and I sat down to watch it.
Really? And I
And the
fell
other-
asleep.
No, when we did our commentary.
That's right. Yeah, we
I
did
want to do it
that.
again. I'm sure there's other stuff because I've heard the word implements
Mm.
more than once than the past couple days, and I told Aaron that is one of my favorite words, and I remember saying it on the commentary, and then Clyde said it the other day, and I'm like, I just love that word. I don't know why.
Yeah. You know what we're gonna have to do at some point? The ladies over on our Wisteria Vine. What's up, ladies? Over on the Wisteria Vine on our Patreon, they are demanding a Midnight Margarita Practical Magic movie night, I think.
I want to do this.
Yeah.
I know October's busy,
Yeah.
so we might have to push it in a month or so.
That's fine.
But yeah, we're gonna do it.
That's fine. Yeah, I have to push my Halloween party to November anyway because I have to go
Ooh.
to a wedding in the last week of October. But Yeah, we'll definitely have to make that happen. I think that would be so much fun. And we want to, chill with our Wisteria Vine members. So that would be
Absolutely.
a good time.
Super cash.
Super cash. Midnight margaritas, burying bodies, super cash.
Are we doing a break or are we raw dogging this thing?
What do you want to do? Let's see how much, we have a lot left, right? We got
Let's take a little break. And when we come back, we're going to do the history and the folklore, how to take care of your cauldron. All when we return. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Hey little witches, Justina here, calling all practical magic fans and music lovers. This fall, get ready for something truly spellbinding from the Stinas. Christina and I started Magnolia Street podcast as a way to share our original music inspired by our favorite movie, Practical Magic. We've been hard at work in the recording studio since September, brewing up our 5-song debut EP, Magnolia Street Volume 1.
At the house on Magnolia Street, would you go down to Magnolia Street where the wisteria grow wild? At the house of magic and mystery, so would you go down to Magnolia Street?
If you want the inside scoop on our music and the stories behind each song, join our Rose tier on Patreon for just $8 a month and dive into exclusive content from our songisodes. Plus, bonus content from our highly anticipated upcoming EP. On there, you'll find lyric sheets, original demos, behind-the-scenes videos from the studio, blog posts, production notes, and more. Don't miss out on the magic. Keep up to date with us on our Instagram at Magnolia Street Podcast for all of our music news and be a part of our musical journey. The Stinas are bringing practical magic to life, one song at a time, right here on Magnolia Street.
You didn't go down to Magnolia Street. Magnolia Street.
You're listening to the Magnolia Street Podcast.
I don't know if there's a cauldron card. Hold on. Oh, here come the garbage trucks. Right on time.
Right on time.
Oh, there is! There is a cauldron card.
Great.
All right. So welcome back, everybody. We're going to do a card pull from our Grounded by the Moon Practical Magic Inner Witch Oracle. By the way, Joseph has a new Kickstarter happening right now. So head on over to groundedbythemoon.com to get in on that if you guys want to get his latest deck coming out. I think he's doing an updated edition of this deck with added cards.
Yes, indeed.
So
Yep.
that's exciting. So he revisited the deck, I guess, with feedback from
Buyers and supporters.
maybe even us. We were like, why didn't you have, like, remember we interviewed him a couple times on this show and we're like, you don't have this card, or you don't have this card. And he's like, ooh, I'm writing these down.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, but cauldron is a part of the one that I have. And this, the keyword on this card is transformation and also analysis and growth. So what ingredients are you putting into your cauldron? Are you adding the ingredients you know you need? Or are they ones you feel you should be adding? This is a time for growth and change. Ensure that you are brewing what is true to your path. The Witch's Cauldron is a great magical tool that aids in magical practices in various ways. A symbol of transformation and time, the cauldron takes ingredients and allows them to simmer. Be mindful not to add the wrong thing or it may boil over. Keep an eye on what you want to accomplish and how to get there. Use the power of a green candle to help you keep grounded while you move forward with growth and balance in mind. Utilize the power of this card and the affirmation to enhance the magical connection. And the mantra on this card is, I know the things that I need. So adding those right ingredients into your cauldron, letting it simmer, doing that slow burn, like not biting off more than you can chew, right?
Yeah.
You don't want things to bubble over. And I feel like that's kind of rings true to our situation, right? Like, we tend to bite off a lot more than we can chew, putting these episodes together on top of the music, on top of social media, on top of having all of our ducks in a row. Like, it can be a lot sometimes. So this card is a nice reminder to maybe just let things simmer a little bit. And
I like that.
yeah, and I think we did that over the summer. We took a nice little break, right?
We did, but then we cranked it up to 11 and we're kind of paying for it now. So we get it, guys. We just like, Justine and I were talking, we want to be the go-to for everything practical magic, especially with the movie coming out. And we know we go down side streets and rabbit holes that we need to cover because it's contextual. It has to do with the history or the science, and we have to cover it all. But it's hard. It's really hard.
It is a lot from week to week, but maybe this card is a nice reminder to maybe, after October, put the boil back down to a simmer. I like that. I like that. All right. Okay. We're going to get into some history.
History it is, yeah.
All right.
So, from the Latin origin, the term cauldron is derived from caldrius, meaning hot. The word provides the root meaning for caldarium, a cooking pot, and from the Anglo-Norman French, calderon, from which came the Middle English word cauldron from the 14th century. A cauldron is a round pot made from ceramics or metal alloys that either stands on 3 legs or hung directly over a fire. It may also have adjustable hooks or attached to a chimney crane. The cauldron in medieval London was a domestic cooking vessel. Cauldrons originated from the Bronze Age and were originally used as a vessel for food and serving meals, hung over a fire to boil water, cook food, and serve the resulting meal. Their familiar presence at the hearth of most households made them evolve beyond a tool and into a beloved symbol for food distribution. The 3,000-year-old Battersea cauldron, for example, was obviously treasured, showing evidence that it was repaired and patched over time. According to the British Museum blog, it was recovered from the River Thames, which seemed a rather unusual place to find a cooking pot. In fact, rivers and bogs are actually common recovery sites for cauldrons. These locations are described as domains that lie between the worlds of the living and the dead, further reinforcing the vessel's mystical connections.
Yeah, wasn't there an excerpt in the Book of Magic, the last book, where was it a bog or was it a...
Like the fens?
Well, yeah, the fens, yeah.
Yes.
But I've never heard of that, but they find cauldrons in bogs? What?
I wonder if we learn more about that. That's cool. I like that.
All right.
Yeah. As we know, that's usually primarily used for cooking. So they're present in almost every medieval London household or kitchen, whether rich or poor. In wealthier households, cauldrons were found in the kitchens alongside ovens and hearths. People in lower social statuses in medieval London often lived in single rooms with a fire in the middle that supplied heat and light. This fire was also used for cooking, and thus the cauldron was located in the main room. The cauldron is often the only cooking vessel available for many households, making it an essential item for daily use. While most cauldrons did not have much in the way of monetary value, they were valuable as cooking tools passed down through generations of families.
There it is.
Which may have given them sentimental value. We know the Owenses are very sentimental.
Yeah, so they're
everything.
Definitely using Maria's pot.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Because the laboring poor also used cauldrons, some were made of lower quality materials so that they would be cheaper to buy. Some were made of ceramics, while others were made of metal alloys. Cauldrons often had low levels of tin and high levels of lead alloy, making them weak and brittle. Also, can you get lead poisoning that way?
That's what I'm thinking. Why would you cook with lead? But I guess back in the day, they didn't know any better. So
I was thinking iron.
Okay. Right.
This oxidation caused the sturdier copper alloy to dissolve, therefore many medieval cauldrons have missing legs. On the other hand, richer people in medieval London were able to afford cauldrons with higher levels of tin and copper, allowing their cauldrons to last much longer.
Yeah. Wait, speaking of missing legs, I found, I don't know, it was an article or something. Let's see.
Okay.
Where did it go? Wait, look at this link. It's a cauldron leg. Hold on.
Now look at this.
Did you see the link I just popped in there? Okay, look at this.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
It's a photo of an old cauldron leg.
How did you just stumbled upon this, or did you stumble upon it for these notes?
No, I stumbled upon it I was looking up things last night, but I forgot to pop the link into the chat, and I was like, oh, we don't really need to talk about a missing cauldron leg, but
What? How do they know that? This just looks like a nothing.
I know. It said this is the leg of a cauldron retrieved from the Greater London area in 2009. So the particular fragment was retrieved from a cauldron that was originally made of copper alloy rather than ceramic. The cauldron fragment is an example of a cauldron that could have broken from the impact of the fire underneath it. Yeah, they're dating this to high medieval 1000 to 1300 to late medieval 1300 to 1500.
God dang. That's so cool. History's awesome.
Yeah, so I just thought that was interesting. I was like, why would I need to talk about a cauldron leg? But
but you did.
Here we are.
That is the weirdest segue. Speaking of a cauldron leg.
Speaking of cauldron legs.
Broken Cauldron.
That is so funny. Couldn't have done that again if I tried. All right, moving along.
One of the oldest ever found was excavated from Battersea and is therefore known as the Battersea Cauldron. It made up of bronze sheets melded together and is huge. It's been described as one of the largest and most sophisticated metal objects of the day, and it is estimated to be 3,000 years old. And it obviously got some use, judging by the number of reparations, patches it has covering its surface. Whatever size your cauldron was, it was an expensive bit of kit and built to last. So it's more unusual to find them without patches. Precious items such as this were passed through the generations, and, quote, the man who owned an iron cauldron, says Dorothy Hartley, had a definite standing above those who cooked only in small pots and pans. So you were like top dog.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess you had to have a significant amount of money to maybe afford one of these things.
Yeah. Well, we know Maria got that coin, that hush money.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder how Hannah got hers.
Right. And was the one that Maria got, I guess, was that passed down to him? I don't think Maria was lugging a cauldron across to Curacao and up to Salem.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, so maybe Maria came into her own via her Samuel Diaz money? I don't know.
Her side boo.
Exactly.
You may be thinking that a selection of pots and pans might be preferable to a massive cooking pot because they give you more options and you don't have to make giant vats of food all the time. But a cauldron is surprisingly versatile and was rarely used for just cooking great big broths with bones bobbing about the surface. No, the cauldron was in fact a complete cooking and hot water system. We have an illustration here from Miss Hartley's book, Food in England, and it's a depiction like a half-cut cauldron cut in half, and they have different layers. So on the left side, there's beef on birch twigs for soup. Then in the center, they have poultry and eggs and onions in the pot. On the far right, in bags, they have bagged puddings and cereals, beans, etc. Then there's a board, probably 3/4 of the way down, where the pot starts to become smaller. Then underneath that is wrapped up pieces of bacon to remain till cold in water.
So it looks like the bottom of the pot, I don't know if that's submerged in liquid too.
So is this storage? Are they storing this until they're gonna cook it?
No, this says medieval cauldron cooking, so I'm guessing this is how they cook things. So it looks like if you look at each one of these things, like beef on birch twigs for soup on the left-hand side, everything looks like they're in their own little mason jars, like
that. Yeah, you're right.
Jars.
Or hanging.
Yeah, so it looks like they're not just dropping stuff loose in this big cauldron like we think, like, stereotypically. That's what we have been led to believe, in the witch stereotypes surfacing through, pop culture and literature, all that. It looks like they had a more specific system, like they put certain things in different mason jars and then submerged the mason jars into the cauldron. So they had different compartments for different types of meals, but they could all cook at the same time.
That's cool. Yeah. I'm not understanding the bacon piece.
Yeah, I'm not getting that either. But it looks like there's a little bit more in this little blurb.
Okay.
Underneath the photo, if we read, maybe that'll tell us a little more.
Okay. So you can see here how the cauldron was actually compartmentalized and filled with a whole variety of foods. At the base is a large joint of meat that required long cooking, usually wrapped in a flour paste and tied up in cloth. Then sat on wooden slats upon which all sorts of things were set. There would have been some soup puddings wrapped in cloth simmering away, as well as bag puddings made up of peas, beans, and cereal grains, such as the classic pisse pudding.
Peas puddings?
Peas porridge hot. Okay. If you did want to make some hearty stew, you placed your ingredients in earthenware jars. There you go. Filled them with stock water, covered them tightly, and poached it in the cauldron water. How cool.
That's neat. Like I didn't know that they used to cook like this. This is cool. You can cook like a million different soups at one time.
Yeah.
And meat. And cook your meat on the bottom, like slow cook it on the bottom.
Bacon. Yeah. This gentle way of poaching meat produced deliciously juicy cuts of meat. In fact, one cauldron found in Warwick Castle bore the legend, "I give meat good savor." Often the meat was jointed and sat in a large jug to produce old British classics such as jugged hare or rabbit. This person has also seen recipes for jugged kippers and jugged peas. So jugged just means put in a jug and cooked in the cauldron?
Yeah, like in a mason jar or earthenware, something, and then sealed and then just boiled from, I guess, it just heats up the glass and that,
That's so cool.
Cooks the stuff inside, it seems like.
So Dorothy Hartley illustrates in this book some beef tea being made where the meat is sat in its jar on top of some birch twigs, preventing the meat from sticking to the bottom. I love little details like those. And you have to be very careful when cooking like this, though, because those sealed pots act like pressure cookers and they are prone to exploding.
Oh, geez. How many glass shattering accidents do you think there were?
Oh, my Lord. I've only cooked with a pressure cooker once.
Oh,
and
yeah, I don't like it.
I have an electric stove. So you have to like anticipate that needle getting to that point and turn it down before because it takes longer to decrease the heat for some reason. I don't like electric stoves.
I'm not fond of the whole pressure cooker situation. Like, I use slow cookers, but that's different than a pressure cooker, right?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about some death.
By boiling?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm wondering if some of these deaths have to do with glasses exploding in people's faces. Let's see here. So this says death by boiling is a method. Oh, okay. It's a method of execution in which a person is killed by being immersed in a boiling liquid. That does not sound pleasant. While not as common as other methods of execution, boiling to death has been practiced in many parts of Europe and Asia. Due to the lengthy process, death by boiling is an extremely painful method of execution. Executions of this type were often carried out using a large vessel, such as a cauldron or a sealed kettle, filled with a liquid such as water, oil, tar, or tallow, and a hook and pulley system. Instances of boiling alive as a legal punishment were quite rare and infrequent compared to other forms of execution, such as drowning.
It was a hard jump from cooking in a cauldron to death by boiling. Sorry, guys.
We went right to the medieval torture methods. That sounds painful.
Yikes.
Can't be.
Tar and tallow?
Yeah.
Tallow is like fat, like beef that you make soaps with. Oh my God.
Yeah. Sidebar, in the most recent episode of Salem that I watched last night, Increase Mather was torturing this group of teenage girls that he believed to be witches. He had them tied up, and while he had them tied up, he was ladling boiling water from a large cauldron, and he was throwing it onto them as their skin boiled.
Oh my God. It's very interesting how you're watching this show almost in tandem perfectly with what we're talking about.
Isn't it weird?
Yeah, I love that.
So weird.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
then,
like a weird baptism, like how you get sprinkled with the water?
Yeah, I think he was trying to get them to confess either that they were witches or that they knew that John Alden was a witch. I forget exactly the context, but yeah, he was torturing them. And this morning, I fall asleep with my AirPods in. So this morning I was like listening to Salem, the podcast, and they were playing this card game called, I think it's Salem or something about the witch. It's like a card game. They were playing the game, but they were also talking about the Salem show, and they were talking about Increase Mather and Cotton Mather and how they're being portrayed on the show that I am currently watching, and now we're talking about on our podcast.
We are deep.
Weird. Oh, we are so deep in it at this point. Are you kidding me?
Good time of year, man, to do it.
Yeah, it is that spooky season. So we're in it. Anyway, moving along. So we're going to talk about some historical practice, starting in Europe. So in England, the use of boiling alive as a method of execution was rare. The 9th statute passed in 1531, the 22nd year of the reign of King Henry VIII, made boiling alive the prescriptive form of capital punishment for murder committed by poisoning, which the same act was defined as high treason. This arose from a February 1531 incident in which the Bishop of Rochester's cook, Richard Roos, gave several people poisoned porridge, resulting in 2 deaths. That's interesting. Okay. A partial confession having been extracted by torture, the sentence was thus imposed by a attainder and without benefit of clergy. His execution took place on April 15, 1532 at Smithfield. A contemporary chronicle reports the following.
So let's put this back in the day. If Gary found out the girl's poisoned, they could be boiled to death.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it seems like the cook was executed using his own profession against him, right? It's like, oh, you're going to poison people? Well, we're going to boil you alive.
Isn't it ironic?
Don't you think? Oh, man. Anyway, so talking about this cook's execution, it said he roared mighty loud, and divers women who were big with child did feel sick at the sight of what they saw, and were carried away half dead, and other men and women did not seem frightened by the boiling alive, but would prefer to see the headsman at his work. Boiling to death was employed again in 1542 for a woman named Margaret Davy, who had also used poison. During the reign of Edward VI in 1547 and 1531, the act was repealed. So in 1547, they finally were like, all right, maybe boiling people alive isn't a great way to...
Extreme, guys.
A little extreme. Yeah, because if some of the townspeople were walking away because they just couldn't watch, that's pretty...
They're like, we get the hangings. We're good with that. The boiling, not so much.
Yeah, like actually watching torture, that's torture.
I was just picturing it because like a hanging is so sudden, like you might get a little feet kicking, but like the boiling, even though it's not like they're boiling in a glass thing you can see through. Yeah. You're probably hearing them splash around and scream and shit like that. Like, holy fuck.
Yeah. I would imagine if it would probably be somewhere along the lines of like if you think of Giles Corey, who was stoned to death and tortured for days before he finally succumbed to, having his insides crushed by pounds of rocks.
Yeah. Do you know how much he was under? I feel like that's something you know.
Like how many pounds of rocks?
Yeah.
I forget the number, but it was a significant amount. And they were adding one stone every hour that he would not confess to being a witch.
Yeah.
He kept saying more weight.
Yeah.
He was pretty hardcore, and then he cursed Salem to burn, and then the fire of 1914 happened.
1914. Okay, so many decades later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. But they do say that if you see the ghost of Giles Corey, then you're going to meet your fate soon after.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though, the little tidbit you told me that he wasn't really a good dude.
No, he was an asshole. He owned slaves. He beat his slaves. There's even speculation that he murdered his first wife.
Oh my God.
So he was not a good guy. I mean, do that what you will. But I mean, still, he's still torturing a human being. It's just, I can't. That's like two wrongs don't make a right,
Yeah. You would think if you typed in Giles Corey, how much rock weight, it would come up, but I guess not.
They might have said it on the episode. They did a whole episode on Sale on the podcast about him.
Okay.
So yeah, check out that episode, guys, if you want a little more information on his execution and his whole trial. But yeah. So moving right along, numerous people have been boiled to death in Scotland. For example, with the consent of John Haroldson, the quote bloody Earl of Orkney, the Bishop of Caithness, Adam of Melrose, and a monk named Serlo are said to have been boiled to death by angry husbandmen in 1222 over the bishop's aggressive means of collecting tithes.
Mm-hmm. It's like a tax.
That's like a tax, right?
Yeah.
Alexander II is said to have executed upwards of 80 persons as a punishment for killing the bishop and monk, and the earl fled his lands. But according to the Melrose Chronicle, Adam of Melrose was burned alive rather than boiled, and Alexander II executed up to 400 for the crime against the clergy. Do you know what husbandmen are? What are husbandmen?
I think it's just an old-timey 1222. Maybe it's just man's.
All right, so it says a husbandman in England and in the Middle Ages and early modern period was a small landowner. Okay.
Oh, a yeoman. Okay, I've heard yeoman before. They were using that word all the time in Robin Hood, but I thought they were saying like yeoman, Y-E-W, like the tree.
Okay, yeah, the meaning of a husband in this term is the master of the house rather than married man.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that's where the term husband for the married man kind of stemmed from or originated from. Because it's
makes sense.
The master of the house. If we're speaking patriarchally, right? Yes. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. That doesn't not sound like a good way to go. So William de Sully, a nobleman involving in a conspiracy against Robert the Bruce, was reputed to be a sorcerer consorting with evil spirits and was boiled alive in 1321 at Nine Stane Rig. Around 1420, Melville, the sheriff of the Mearns and laird of Glenbervie, who was resented for his strictness, was apprehended by some other nobles and thrown into the kettle. They were thrown into a kettle.
Wow.
The nobles are said to have each taken a spoonful of the brew afterwards. That's fucking sick. That is, that's on another level of sadistic. So boiling as an execution method was also used for counterfeiters, swindlers, and coin forgers during the Middle Ages. In the Holy Roman Empire, for example, being boiled to death in oil is recorded for coin forgers and extremely grave murderers. In 1392, a man was boiled alive in Nuremberg for having raped and murdered his own mother.
Okay.
All right. Coin forgers were boiled to death in 1452 in Danzig and in 1471 in Stralsund. Even as late as 1687, a man in Bremen was boiled to death in oil for having been of valuable help to some coin forgers who had escaped justice. So even if you helped criminals get away, even though you weren't the main criminal, you were still boiled alive. The punishment was the same for both the accomplice and the crimer. The criminal.
Primer.
Like a mouser. In the Dutch town of Deventer, the kettle that was used for boiling criminals to death can still be seen. Oh, okay, wait, is this it? This picture? This one right here?
Yeah, that's actually up in our notes up there.
Yeah, interesting. It doesn't look like a cauldron. It looks
If
like
you
a big,
tip it on its other side, it probably
Yeah, it
has a hole facing the wall, right?
it looks like a big oil drum or something, right? It looks
It's just got a bunch of holes in it. It
yeah, like somebody
doesn't have
shot
any
it.
handles.
Somebody
It's just
shot
a
at it.
cylinder. Yeah.
All right, so you want to tell us about some cauldrons through culture?
I was gonna let you keep going.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
this is still boiling, death boilings.
Oh, this is still death boilings. Okay. So they also did this in Asia. Apparently this was a, no pun intended, but hot commodity. Heyo. Around the world, right? So this first one was the execution of Ishikawa Goman and his son. In 16th century Japan, the semi-legendary Japanese bandit Ishikawa Goman and his son were boiled alive in the 1590s by Toyotomi Hideyoshi. In 1675, a Sikh martyr called Bhai Dayata was boiled to death in Delhi after he refused to convert to Islam. He was put into a cauldron full of cold water, which was then heated to the boiling point. Sikh scriptures record that Dayata recited the Japaj or Guru Nanak in the Sukhmani of Guru Arjan as he died.
They
So
gave him the lobster treatment.
the lobster treatment, and he didn't even commit a crime. It was just for his personal beliefs.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. Let's move over to the Americas. So Thomas Eubank relates in his 1856 book, Life in Brazil, that he was told of an enslaved Afro-Brazilian being publicly boiled to death by a plantation owner as a punishment for acts of insubordination. And then in modern times, this is between 1991 and 2016. So this is very recent. The government of Uzbekistan under Islam Karimov has been alleged to have boiled suspected terrorists. In a United States Department of State document from 2004, the following is written. During the year, there were no developments or investigations in the following 2002 deaths in custody. Mirza Komil Avasov and Kusnudin Olimov, members of Hizutar, who were tortured to death in Jaisilk prison and Karakal, Pakistan, resulting in extensive bruises and burns, the latter reportedly caused by immersion in boiling water. Former ISIS commander Abu Abud al-Rakawi referred to ISIS's brutal execution methods, among which was boiling prisoners alive in engine oil.
Jeez.
Some people were boiled alive in oil. They burned wood on a fire for an hour before throwing the victim into the boiling oil. It's the Tunisians who were responsible for that. In the 2010 documentary, El Sicario, Room 164, the masked Sicario interviewee claims that the Mexican cartels boil in oil those found to be working for the police. So some depictions in Western culture. Early reports of cannibals from places in the Pacific, such as Fiji and Papua New Guinea, killing Western Christian missionaries were assumed to involve some form of boiling alive. This became a fertile ground for filmmakers and especially cartoonists whose cliched depictions of tourists or missionaries sitting restrained in a large cauldron above a wood fire and surrounded by bone-nosed tribesmen was a staple of popular magazines and films for decades. Examples include the 1980 television miniseries Shogun, the 1985 film adaptation of King Solomon's Mines, and the dream sequence in the Baghdad Cafe. Frontmental Halevi's 1835 opera La Jouvie ends with Rachel, the title character, being boiled alive in a vat of oil after her relationship with the Christian prince Leopold is discovered by anti-Semitic state and church authorities. Death by boiling didn't just come from below, it could have come from above in the form of castle murder holes, often called murder holes or machicolations in medieval architecture. These were openings in the floor of a castle or fortress wall, especially above gates or passageways, through which defenders could pour boiling liquids like water or oil, hot, sand, quicklime, throw stones, or fire arrows at attackers below. However, if you're specifically asking about the cauldrons themselves, they might simply be referred to as cauldrons or kettles, but the structures designed for pouring were the key defensive feature. And archaeologically speaking, archaeologically intact actual cauldrons with apparent cultural symbols include the Gundestrup cauldron, made in the 2nd or 1st century BC, found at Gundestrup, Denmark, a Bronze Age cauldron found in Hassel, Sweden, a ceremonial cauldron, or many of them actually, found from the ancient Armenian state of Urartu, and the cauldron where the Olympic flame burns for the duration of the Olympic Games.
Yeah, how about that?
That's just a few, I guess, around the world that are notable. All right, so I'm going to try this Gaelic.
You got it. When in doubt, race through the word.
I try to
I know you break it up.
I try to phonetically break it up so that I can get each syllable, and then I say it.
A reader,
and then I say it again.
Yeah.
So then I get the
That's
whole
fine.
thing. All right. So now that we just gave you the whole historical rundown of all the murder and boiling of people alive and throughout history.
Yeah.
Let's get into some folklore.
A little more
this
lighthearted.
this is maybe more lighthearted, not as dark.
Yeah, macabre.
Macabre, yeah. Macabre. So this first one is the Dagda's cauldron, and the Dagda was the father of God and the Tuatha De Danann. His position was so esteemed that he was described in the ancient medieval manuscript, the Quar Anman. Thus, this is a quote, "He was a beautiful god of the heathens, for the Tuatha De Danann worshipped him, for he was an earth, god to them because of the greatness of his magical power," end quote. So Dagda was a mystical supernatural being with magical powers, and his strength derived from his knowledge, which in folklore was the highest kind of wisdom. He possessed 3 particular implements, it's Christina's favorite word, of magical power. The first was the large bronze cauldron, which was so enchanted that no matter how many people sat down to eat around it, they would all be fed. The second was the mighty club the Dagda carried with him. Its enormous size meant that it had to be transported on wheels, and it took 10 men to lift it. One end of the club killed the living with one blow, while the other end could revive the dead. So it's got some hands in the art of necromancy.
Cool.
Yeah. The Dagda also had a magical living harp, the Uathane, called the Four-Angled Music, decorated in gold and jewels, on which he could play music to inspire any mood. It was his playing on this harp that made the seasons arrive in their proper order. This mystical instrument also played 3 types of music: the music of sorrow, the music of joy, and the music of dreaming. That reminds me of, is it the Cerberus in Harry Potter? And it's guarding the door, right? And don't they have to play a harp to get him to go to sleep?
That sounds familiar. I haven't seen that movie in forever.
I think it's called Fluffy's Harp is the name of the theme, because I always play it on my Spotify because I just think it's so soothing and calming and relaxing. Yeah, it's the music of dreaming. So stories of the Dagda are both plentiful and legendary. One such tale recounts how the Dagda had an affair with Boand, the wife of Elkmar. In order to hide their affair, the Dagda made the sun stand still for 9 months, and therefore their son, Angus, was conceived and born in the same single day. It was this same son, Angus, who was to trick the Dagda out of his own home at Brunnaboyne. Brunnaboyne! Angus had been away searching for a love he encountered in his dreams, but returned to find that the lands of Dagda had been divided by his father among his children, leaving none for him. Needless to say, Angus took exception to this and hatched a plan to regain his birthright. Angus asked his father if he could be allowed to live at Brew for la agus oish, meaning day and night. Dagda took it that his son intended to remain for a single day and a single night, but such was the manner in which Angus phrased his request, the request was granted by the Dagda, that the day and night represented the continuous cycle of time, day after night, and thus Angus took possession of Brunnaboyne for all time. I hope the father, the Dagda, I hope he don't own no Airbnbs, because that miscommunication would not do him any
You're gonna get
services.
slapped with so many fines.
Lawsuit. Yeah. So the tale is recalled in Gods and Fighting Men by Lady Gregory. And this is a quote, an excerpt from the tale. But however great a house the Dagda had, Angus got it away from him in the end through the help of Manannan, son of Lir. For Manannan bade him to ask his father for it for the length of a day and a night, and that he by his art would take away his power of refusing. So Angus asked for the brew, and his father gave it to him.
Bruh.
The bruh. Angus asked for the bruh, and his father gave it to him for a day and a night. But when he asked it back again, it is what Angus said, that it had been given to him forever, for the whole of life, and time is made up of day and night, one following after the other. So Angus is a squatter.
He is. Oh, he's that 30-year-old son living in the basement.
He won't leave.
He won't leave.
He won't leave. Right. So perhaps it is fitting that the Dagda met his end by serving the Tuatha De Danann, whom he commanded for 80 years. The Tuatha De Danann fought the Fomorians at the Battle of Maag Tuired, and it proved to be a crucial event. The Dagda employed all of his magical instruments in the battle and even made sure that the war goddess Morrigan would be on their side by seducing her. When Morrigan had earlier first seen the Dagda approaching, she stood with one foot on either side of a river to try and make sure he couldn't get at her, but she ended up being so pleased with his skills as a lover that she gave her favor to his side in the battle. The Dagda then approached the Fomorians in an effort to delay them, seeking a truce. The Fomorians mocked him, filling the cauldron with porridge, gallons of milk, meat, and fat, and even pigs and goats. The mighty meal was boiled with the Dagda instructed to eat the volume in its entirety or else face death. Oh. It's like that scene in, do you ever see The Great Outdoors with John Candy and he's eating that steak?
No.
He enters his steak eating contest and all he wants to win is a goddamn t-shirt. And he sits there and the steak is like table size and he eats the entire fucking thing.
It makes me think of the Monty Python where he's like, no, I cannot eat another bite. He's like, have more, like one more wafer thin meat, and then he blows up because he eats
God. Or like do you ever see the what is it, the Beatles movie Magical Mystery Tour, where they take a bus to this like trippy acid land, and I think John Lennon has a dream like on the bus, and he has a dream of he's feeding this very large woman spaghetti with a shovel, and she's like eating it all. You never saw?
I've never seen that.
This is the shit my dad used to make me watch.
Wow,
I've
what
just
a
seen
time.
like all the Beatles movies are pretty fucking out there. Well, that one anyway, because that one was like the height peak of like, you know, the I guess the acid LSD movement.
Yeah. I could see that.
It's so trippy. I was like, why is this lady eating all this spaghetti? So yeah, this Dagda had to eat until he had to eat or he would die.
That's like in Seven. Do you remember that movie?
Oh, Gluttony, right?
Yeah, Gluttony. Yep.
Yeah. It's about the seven deadly sins. Good movie. So
Mhm.
good. So the Dagda was not to be outdone. He scooped up huge portions of the meal with his giant ladle, eating and eating to the amazement of the onlookers, finally finishing his tasks before collapsing into a deep sleep with his huge bloated stomach as high as a tree. Despite being victorious at the Battle of Maag Tuired, the Dagda succumbed to a wound inflicted by Kethlin, the wife of Balor of the Fomorians. The influence of the Dagda through the genealogies of Irish mythology is enormous. Apart from the Angus, the Dagda was also the father of Bob Dierg, grandfather of the children of Lir, Kermit, Medare, Ain, and Brigid. Marvelous and all very important characters. He is remembered as perhaps the most important of the Gaelic gods, with his influence reverberating through the mythological annals that were to follow. So you got a lot in this story. You got squatting, excessive eating,
manipulation.
What was the lady lust, right? Is this just like their own seven deadliest sins story?
Yeah, cool.
They got gluttony, they got lust, they got
More
greed,
concise.
right? Because I guess that would be considered greed because he didn't want to leave. He stole his father's property.
Fascinating culture.
Right, yeah. It's just interesting how every culture kind of has their own stories that kind of have parallels throughout other cultures and
100%.
religion. Yeah, so this next one is the Cauldron of Dernwick the Giant. So the Cauldron of Dernwick the Giant is said to discriminate between cowards and brave men, whereas it would not boil meat for a coward. It would boil quickly if that meat belonged to a brave man. The description probably goes back to a story similar to one found in the Middle Welsh tale Culhwch ac Owen, in which the cauldron of Durnach, the Irishman steward, to Ogdar, son of Aed, king of Ireland, is among the, oh god, let me try this word, Anothiu, which Culhwch is required to obtain for the wedding banquet. King Arthur requests the cauldron from King Odgar, but Durnach refuses to give up his prized possession.
You're doing great.
I'm trying.
It's a lot of back-to-back letters.
God. Arthur goes to visit Durnach in Ireland accompanied by a small party and is received at his house. But when Durnach refuses to answer Arthur's request a second time, Bedwyr, Arthur's companion, seizes the cauldron and entrusts it to one of Arthur's servants, who is to carry the load on his back. In a single sweep, in a single sweep with the sword called Celetfwic, Leneliwag, the Irishman kills off Durnach and all his men. A confrontation with Irish forces ensues, but Arthur and his men fight them off. They board their ship, Prydwen, and taking with them the cauldron loaded with the spoils of war, returning to Britain. In Culhwch, Durnach's cauldron is not attributed with any special power. However, the earlier poem of Prydio Anfuin, The Spoils of Anfuin, refers to an adventure by Arthur and his men to obtain a cauldron with magical properties equivalent to the one in the lists of the 13 treasures. In this poem, the owner of the cauldron is not an Irish lord, but the king of Anwen, the Welsh otherworld, suggesting that the version of the story in Culhwch's is a later attempt to Uhemerize an older tale. The fuck is that? Uhemerism? Durnach's name, which derives from the Irish Diugarach and exhibits no literary provenance, may have been selected by the author of Culhwch. I keep feeling like I'm saying Cool Whip. Whips ac Ulwyn to emphasize the Irish setting of his story. Although Durnach is not himself described as an Irishman, it is probable that his name goes back to Durnach. The extant manuscripts of Trí Tuils Ardeg, also present. I feel like I'm just fucking this up. Also present such variant spellings as Durnag and Turnag without the Irish sounding ending, but on balance, these are best explained as Welsh approximations of a foreign name.
You can read anything now. Now that you got through those two things, oh my God, that was intense.
My eyes are like...
my eyes.
I don't know how much of that we need to include. I don't really know.
I don't know.
That doesn't really have much to do with the actual cauldrons.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just include the first paragraph. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
All
So from the Isles to the Norse, the Hymskvida, the Lay of Hymir, a poem that tells the story of Thor's heroic acquisition of Hymir's cauldron. This is the sort of story you read to your kids at bedtime. If you happen to live in Iceland in the year 1300 or thereabouts, for those not familiar with this story, here's an extremely abbreviated and very slightly accurate retelling. It says, "Give me a cauldron large enough and a place to stand. The gods of Asgard were looking for an eternal source of mead, and they demanded that Aegir, god of the sea, sorry if I'm fucking that up, provide it for them. Aegir, unhappy with the tone of their request, said he'd only do it if the gods could supply him with a cauldron large enough, such enormous vessels being rather scarce. Tyr, the god of war and justice, knew just where to obtain such an item. His father, the giant Hymir, had one that was, quote, a league deep. That would be about 3.5 miles, certainly large enough to keep the gods drunk for a few millennia. But Tyr knew his father wouldn't acquiesce easily, so he enlisted the aid of Thor, the god of thunder, to trick Hymir into parting with the giant cauldron. Thor and Tyr went together to visit the bellicose Hymir. After braving the way through a variety of adventures, including a fishing trip during which Thor managed to catch 2 whales, Hymir still was not warming to his guests. He taunted Thor by saying, "Sure, you may be able to row a boat well, but if you're really strong, you should be able to prove it by breaking this glass goblet." Thor threw the goblet against a stone pillar, but the goblet remained intact, while the pillar shattered. Hymir's wife whispered a word of advice to Thor. "Try again. This time, throw it at Hymir's head, which is much harder than any goblet." Thor did as he was told, and the goblet broke. Hymir was upset that his goblet was broken, but nevertheless conceded that Thor had outwitted him and offered him the giant cauldron as his reward, provided, naturally, that he could carry it. Although Tyr couldn't budge the cauldron, Thor handily carried it away. But the two gods had not gotten far when they turned to see Hymir following them with a band of his multi-headed henchmen. Apparently, he had second thoughts about letting go of his prized possession after all. Thor set down the cauldron, dispatched the pursuers with his trusty hammer, and then resumed his journey home. All's well that ends well, with infinite quantities of mead. The gods were greatly impressed when Thor and Tyr returned to Hymir's cauldron. Even Aegir changed his tune, began cheerfully brewing up mead to last Asgard through the winter. The mead, just through the winter, 3.5 miles of mead. The mead flowed freely, and the gods were happy, and they all lived happily ever after, except for those who didn't. We are not told how Hymir and his wife got along after that, quote, hard-headed remark cost him his cauldron, but one imagines the incident led to marital discord, if not worse. Such matters are, of course, a more delicate nature than generally addressed in Norse mythology. I did it.
Gods are immortal, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Except for the one who was shot by the holly branch.
Oh.
Balder was like the beloved god and he couldn't die,
Okay.
except for like being struck by a holly branch. So Loki did some tricksy thing, I think.
Loki.
Yeah,
no, I was just wondering because any mortal person would get the diabetes from drinking all that mead.
but so sugary.
That shit is so sweet.
Syrup.
I can't drink it. It's like, it's just too sweet. It makes like, you know, the back of your like right here pucker?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
have a little bit and a little snifter, and it's just a treat.
You know, you only need to taste a little at a time. I don't need a big glass of mead. This next one is called the Per Dadeni, and this is a Welsh tale. So, in Welsh mythology and literature, the Per Dadeni, Cauldron of Rebirth, is a magical cauldron able to resurrect the dead. It plays a key role in Branwen folklore, the second branch of the Mabinogi. It is one of a number of magic cauldrons in Welsh legend and folklore, including the Cauldron of Durnock, the Irishman, and the Colig and Olwen. The cauldron of the head of An is Prediu Anfuin, and the cauldron of Ceridwen in the tale of Taliensin. Per Dadeni was destroyed in Efnisien in a battle with the Irish. Seeing that the Irish were using the cauldron to revive their dead, he hid among the Irish corpses and was thrown into the cauldron by the Irish. He destroyed the cauldron from within, sacrificing himself in the process. The Chronicles of Prydain by Lloyd Alexander, a cauldron similar to the Per Dadeni, exists to create undead warriors. Alexander cites Welsh mythology as a basis for Prydain, and the cauldron in particular. A plan to destroy the cauldron forms much of the plot of the second book, The Black Cauldron. And then I just took this little bit. I thought this was interesting. So the Holy Grail of Arthurian legend is sometimes referred to as a cauldron, although traditionally the Grail is thought of as a handheld cup rather than a large pot that the word cauldron usually is used to mean. This may have resulted from the combination of the Grail legend with earlier Celtic myths of magical cauldrons like all the ones that we just read.
Cool. Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting. I've never heard the Holy Grail referred to as a cauldron, but I guess
No, I haven't
that
either.
Arthurian legends, yeah, I guess they do. So,
I think a cauldron plays a big part in that A Court of Thorns and Roses series. I only read the first two books, so sorry, y'all. It's so huge, but I think it turns like humans into fairies.
oh,
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah, well,
Oh, well, like
a
the
host of problems
like
afterwards.
like the evil fairies, not the cute fairies.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
I didn't read the third book. I don't know what
Okay.
happens.
Wait, which series did you say that was?
A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas.
All right, we'll have to add that to our Goodreads list if anybody
Oh
wants.
my
to
God, I have
browse
not
it.
kept that updated.
Oh yeah, me either. There's a whole slew of books that, like, listening to Sale on the podcast, they keep mentioning like these books, all these books, and I'm like, add. I've been adding it to my Amazon wish list, so like,
Oh,
you know,
nice.
I'll have to start chiseling away at all this reading content now.
Yeah. Well, what's nice is like if you're listening to a specific episode of ours, they come with the show notes where all the links are. So that's an easier way to get the books then that we've talked about right then and there.
Yeah,
You know, instead of having to sift through the Goodreads. But
for
it would have
sure.
been nice if I kept up with that.
Yeah, I mean, if you go through each episode, the books are in tandem with the show
Yeah.
notes over on the hero page if you
Yeah.
guys want. So
You're lucky with a Gemini and Sagittarius. We kept up with this.
I know,
Week after
yeah.
week.
Well, Virgo rising, hello. We got all our shit, all our ducks in a row, all the
Mhm.
links where they should be. Everything's very organized, I must say. Because, like,
Mhm.
I go to other podcasts looking for shit, and they're like, we'll put it in the show notes. And I'm like, I can't find it.
Yeah.
I
So
can't
there you go.
Yeah. Everything's on our hero page, guys. If you guys want to go deeper down all these rabbit holes, go check that out. So, we're going to talk more about cauldrons in mythology and stories, right? This next one is of German, a German tale, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
This one is called Sweet Porridge and is often known in English under the title The Magic Porridge Pot. And it's a folkloric German fairy tale recorded by the Brothers Grimm as tale number 103 in Grimm's fairy tales in the 19th century. It says, there was a poor but good little girl who lived alone with her mother, and they no longer had anything to eat. So the child went into the forest, and there an aged woman met her who was aware of her sorrow, and presented her with a little pot, which, when she said, cook, little pot, cook, would cook good, sweet millet porridge, and when she said, stop, little pot, it ceased to cook. The girl took the pot home to her mother, and now they were freed from their poverty and hunger, and ate sweet porridge as often as they chose. Once upon a time, when the girl had gone out, her mother said, cook, little pot, cook. And it did cook, and she ate until she was satisfied. And then she wanted the pot to stop cooking, but did not know the word. So she didn't know stop.
I guess not.
She didn't know the word stop. So it went on cooking, and the porridge rose over the edge, and it still cooked on until the kitchen and the whole house were full, and then the next house, and then the whole street, just as if it wanted to satisfy the hunger of the whole world. And there was the great distress, but no one knew how to stop it. At last, when only one single house remained, the child came home and just said, stop, little pot, and it stopped and gave up cooking. And whoever wished to return to the town had to eat their way back.
Did all those people die?
I guess so. They just
Oh
got
my
like
God.
drowned
Well,
in
it is Brothers
porridge.
Grimm, I guess.
Well, yeah, they're pretty dark
Yeesh.
dudes, right? But like, okay, so first of all, like, where'd the little girl go that her mother didn't know where she was, that she couldn't just be like, hey, little girl, you know the word, come say stop. Come, or
Gathering sticks in the woods.
come, like, you know.
Yeah, go get your daughter.
Yeah, I don't know. She just didn't know how to say stop. That's weird to me. Okay, so this next one comes from a Dutch painting called The Garden of Earthly Delights. And this is the modern title given to a triptych oil painting on oak panel painted by the early Netherlandish master Hieronymus Bosch between 1490 and 1510, when Bosch was between 40 and 60 years old. Bosch's religious beliefs are unknown, but interpretations of the work typically assume it is a warning against the perils of temptation. The outer panels place the work on the third day of creation. On the right panel, animals are shown punishing humans, subjecting them to nightmarish torments that may symbolize the 7 deadly sins, matching the torment to the sin. Sitting on an object that may be a toilet or a throne, the panel's centerpiece is a gigantic bird-headed monster feasting on human corpses, which he excretes through a cavity below him into the transparent chamber pot on which he sits. The monster is sometimes referred to as, quote, the Prince of Hell, a name derived from the cauldron that he wears on his head, perhaps representing a debased crown. At his feet, a female has her face reflected on the buttocks of a diamond. Further to the left, next to a hair-headed diamond, a group of naked persons around a toppled gambling table are being massacred with swords and knives. Other brutal violence is shown by a knight torn down and eaten up by a pack of wolves to the right of the tree man. And then this next one is Strega Nonna, which is a children's book. Strega Nonna is a wise woman and witch doctor who lives in Calabria in southern Italy. Because she is getting old, Strega Nonna employs a young man named Big Anthony to do household chores. One night, Big Anthony observes Strega Nonna singing to her magic pasta pot to produce large amounts of pasta. However, he fails to notice that she blows 3 kisses to the pot to stop the pasta production. Big Anthony shares his discovery with the townsfolk the next day, but he is laughed at. 2 days later, while Strega Nonna is visiting her friend Strega Amelia, Big Anthony sings to the pasta pot and successfully conjures up large amounts of pasta, which he serves to the townsfolk. However, since Big Anthony cannot stop the pot from cooking, the pasta gradually covers Strega Nonna's house and nearly floods the entire town. Disaster is averted when Strega Nonna returns and immediately blows the 3 kisses to stop the pot's cooking. She punishes Big Anthony by making him eat all of the pasta. And we think we talked about stone soup a little bit before. It's a European folk story in which hungry strangers convince the people of a town to each share a small amount of their food in order to make a meal. In various traditions, the stone has been replaced with other common inedible objects, and therefore the parable is also known as axe soup, button soup, nail soup, bolt soup, and wood soup. So this next one, I think I did an Instagram post on this next one's called Hestia. I think that's how you say her name, or Hestia? Hestia, right? In ancient Greek religion and mythology, Hestia means hearth and fireside. She's the virgin goddess of the hearth and the home. In myth, she is the firstborn child of the titans Cronus and Rhea, and one of the 12 Olympians. Hestia elected never to marry and remained an eternal virgin goddess, forever tending to the hearth of Olympus. Hestia, she had many siblings. I don't know if I added that much in here. It was like there's a whole wiki page on Hestia if you guys want to go read more about her story, but I just kind of tried to keep just the cauldron bits in here.
Okay.
So Hestia, her name means hearth, fireplace, and altar. This stems from the pi root, wes, or burn, ultimately from dwell, pass the night, or stay. It thus refers to the oikos domestic life, home, household, house, or family. Burkert states that an early form of the temple is the hearth house. The early temples at Dreros and Prinias on Crete are of this type, as indeed is the temple of Apollo at Delphi, which also had its inner Hestia. The Mycenaean Great Hall, like Homer's Hall of Odysseus at Ithaca, had a central hearth. Likewise, the hearth of the later Greek Prytaneum was the community and government's ritual and secular focus. Hestia's naming thus makes her a personification of the hearth and its fire, a symbol of society and family, also denoting authority and kingship. The kettle is one of the symbols associated with Hestia, the Greek goddess of the hearth fire. Hestia's other symbols include the fireplace, torch, candles, and fire itself. These objects signify nourishment and hospitality, reflecting the goddess's association with domesticity and sustenance. Given her association with the hearth and domestic life, some colors that represent her are ones that bring warmth, comfort, and earthiness. These could include gold, brown, and earthy red. She symbolizes the warmth and comfort of home. Unlike other gods, she's not involved in any myths of deception, betrayal, or violence. She just wanted peace. She just wanted to stay home with her cats and friggin' cook and clean and just be at home and be her domestic little goddess self. And that is so Justina coded.
Childless cat lady.
Childless cat lady there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, she just wanted to cook, leave me be. I'll take care of the house, which, by the way, if you are a kitchen witch, like Justina and I used to do this all the time and I just never replaced my candle, but like you could do a gold, brown, or earthy red candle anytime I would cook. Like I didn't work with Hestia, but I tried to light a candle in like, this is my time of practice. So like to use that as like my witchcraft time, and just having a little candle is nice. It's ambiance. It makes it less of a chore and more of a ritual.
I love that. And also, you know, adding little symbols, drawing little symbols into like if when you're stirring your own little cauldron, you're making some soup or some pasta sauce, you know, stir in your little sigils, like you make the signs with your spoon.
Yeah, totally.
And depending on the direction, Widdershins, what's the other one? Diazel, right? Depending, I forget which one it is to bring to you, to bring forth. Is that Diazel? It's clockwise. Yeah. And then counterclockwise is the Widdershins. And that's to kind of banish and push things more away from you. So like banishing negativity. So depending on how you stir your pot, you can, you know, bring forth things or send things away. Protection sigils healing sigils. If you're sick and you're making a soup, maybe put in your protection stir in your protection sigils into your
Yeah.
soup.
Yeah.
So you can do a lot with your kitchen magic. It's just a really cool place to be able to do it more sneakily if you can't practice as openly as
Exactly. Yeah.
as you want to. You can include those little rituals into your kitchen witchery. So I think that's a really fun, sneaky way.
We
So
haven't done just a straight up kitchen witchery, have we?
no, we haven't. But
Oh.
this book is full of kitchen witchery. This
It's going
Wiccan
on the list.
Oh yeah, Wiccan Kitchen. This is great, and it's so cute. It's such like a little
It's very
compact
pretty.
book. This could fit in a kitchen drawer. Like it's that tiny that you can put this in your kitchen, and while you're in there, maybe if you want to do a little cooking divination, maybe one day just flip through the pages, stop, and then point to a recipe, and then you're gonna make creamy rutabaga and parsnip spring soup with pickled radishes.
Yep. Add that to your shopping list.
That's the page that I just flipped to, and that is actually for Ostara, so that's not even seasonal. But this book does go according to season, so it has stuff for every single Sabbath on the Wheel of the Year.
Okay.
So where are we right now? We are actually approaching Samhain, right?
Yes.
So let's see what we have for Samhain, if there's anything specific. Okay, so Samhain we have, and they have a little menu on each page
cute.
of the Sabbath. So the menu for Samhain is apple pomegranate divination salad with feta and pecan, triple goddess sweet potato, Brussels sprouts, and toasted garlic soup. Sounds toasty, right? Then we have a dumb supper sausage and rice stuffed acorn squash, and nature's beauty pasta with golden beets, walnuts, and gorgonzola. Those sound yummy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's coming up. So if you guys want to try any of those, I will link this book if you guys want to pick this up and try any of these recipes. Really cute.
Very cute.
So a little bit more about Hestia. So I was like, just Googling stuff about her, and this little sentiment popped up about working with the deity Hestia, which comes from a blogger named Dionysian Freak over on Tumblr. And they say, speaking of Hestia, it reminds me of the little cauldron I have for her by my fireplace. Me and my family have used it my entire life, and it's our main source of heat in the winter. When I learned about Hestia's role in the home, I decided to have a small, honoring space for her at the base of my fireplace with my mini cast iron cauldron. I mainly burned things in it, so it felt appropriate. That was the only thing I could think of to add at the time, so it was the only thing that was there honoring her. So then about 2 months go by, and I completely forgot that it's there. My memory is dog shit, they say, and my brain is permanently scrambled eggs, so while I felt bad, I couldn't really help it. I was ashamed I had neglected her, so I took the space down and I decided to put it up again when I was in a better mental space. And they say anytime I tried to light a fire after that, it would refuse to go. The flame would fizzle out, or the fire itself would go, but just barely. And they said I couldn't understand why I was suddenly struggling when I've been doing this for like 10 years, until I looked down and I remembered Hestia. Of course, the fires I made immediately took off once I restored her place at my family's hearth. Even if it was something as small as a mini cast iron cauldron. She loved it. She only got upset at me when I took it down, not when I couldn't prioritize it. They say, I think that's when I truly understood Hestia.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, so she's the keeper of the hearth in the home. So if you guys do have a fireplace, whether it's, a usable fireplace or an electric fireplace or whatever you have in your home that represents the hearth, maybe put a little offering there for her and,
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, whether you burn stuff in it or whatever you decide to do there.
Yeah.
To honor her.
Hannah gives me Hestia vibes.
Yes. Yeah. For sure. Okay, so moving on to another post that I found on the Pagan Ways Facebook page. So this is a post all about the cauldron. So the cauldron and its powers are associated with many goddesses from pre-Christian faiths, including Hecate, the protectress of all witches, Demeter and Persephone in the Eleusinian mysteries, the Greek enchantress Circe and Medea, Ceres, the Babylonian goddess of the fate and mother of the stars, whose cauldron was made up of lapis lazuli, the Celtic goddess Cerridwen, from whose cauldron bubbled forth the gifts of wisdom and inspiration. Although the cauldron has traditionally been a symbol of the divine feminine since the earliest of times, there exist a number of male deities from various pagan pantheons who also have a connection to it. Among them are the Norse god Odin, it's your other kitty cat, Odin, who acquired his shape-shifting powers by drinking from the cauldron of wise blood. The Hindu sky god Indra, whose myth is similar to Odin's, Bran the Blessed, the Welsh god of the sacred cauldron, and Cernunnos, the Celtic horn god who was dismembered and boiled in a cauldron to be reborn. Depicted on the famous Gunderstrup cauldron, circa 100 BC, is the stag-horned Cernunnos in various scenes with different animals. Believed by many to be of Celtic origin, this larger silver cauldron may have once been used in sacrificial rites. The use of sacrificial cauldrons can be traced to the ancient religious and magical practices of various European cultures, as well as to some shamanic traditions. Human and animal victims would first be beheaded over the cauldrons and then have their blood drained out into the cauldron, where it would be boiled to produce a mystical substance. Among the Celts, a potion of inspiration was said to have been brewed in such a manner by the priestess of the lunar goddess. The cauldron is linked to the Holy Grail. So I guess this is the Arthurian myth maybe that they were talking about. A chalice that is believed by Christians to have been used by Jesus Christ at the Last Supper. However, prior to its incorporation into Christian myth in the 12th century, the Grail belonged to British paganism as a symbol of reincarnation and the divine womb of the goddess. So yet another thing that the Christians stole from the pagans.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise! So many witches pour a bit of ordinary surgical spirit, or rubbing alcohol, into their cast iron cauldrons and light it carefully, dropping in a lit match. This is often done as a part of a healing ritual, invocations to the elemental spirit of fire, scrying divinations, Sabbath fire festivals, and various working rituals. Just note that a quarter cup of alcohol will burn for approximately 3 minutes, so be sure that the cauldron is resting securely on a fireproof stand and it is not close to any flammable substances. Do not touch the cauldron while it is hot unless you cover your hands with protective oven mitts. If the fire must be extinguished before it burns itself out, smother it by covering the cauldron with a lid or by sprinkling salt or sand over the flames. And remember, whenever working with the element of fire, use caution and common sense and respect the spirits of the flame. And sidebar, I usually do my little bay leaf burning rituals in my little handheld cast iron cauldron. And yeah, you want to do this in a fireproof container so those sparks don't, whoosh. And that also has a little lid on it too, so it makes it easy to just extinguish if it gets too out of hand, So just be careful with any fire thing you're doing in your house anyway. So the sight of a cauldron blazing with fire can be very magical and mesmerizing. And when the alcohol has been steeped in aromatic herbs, a sweet but gentle incense-like fragrance is produced. To make an herbal cauldron spirit, put a small bunch of any or all of the following into a glass bottle: fresh lavender flowers and leaves, fresh mint leaves, fresh rosemary flowers and leaves, and fresh thyme flowers and leaves. Fill the bottle to the top with alcohol, cap it tightly, and then give it a good shake. Keep it in a cool place for 13 days, shaking it twice daily, every sunrise and moonrise. Strain it through a double thickness of muslin into a clear bottle. Cap it and store it away from heat and flame, and the cauldron spirit will keep indefinitely. Here's some bits about cauldron usage. Cauldrons are symbols of inspiration and rebirth, so using them has brought new dimensions to both group and solitary work. A cauldron decorates the center of the circle during lesser Sabbats. An air cauldron at a spring rite creates a misty, magical quality for the ceremony. In the summer, the cauldron will flash and spark. A blue flame burns mysteriously within the water cauldron during the autumn festival. Throughout Yule, the earth cauldron burns steadfast and constant. During moon rites, when magic is done, we write the purpose of our working on flash papers and toss them into the burning cauldron while chanting, which is what we did. Remember when I told you the story when I went to the lavender farm and we all wrote our little intentions, and then we threw it into this huge lavender cauldron of burning lavender, and it's like smoking, billowing, and you just get these whiffs of like lavender, and it smells so freaking good, and like had us all throw our intentions into there. That was single-handedly most witchy thing like I feel like I've ever done.
Totally. That's awesome.
So freaking cool. So a working cauldron should be of cast iron with a tight-fitting lid, 3 sturdy legs, and a strong handle. Season your cauldron before using it for the first time. Pour in a generous helping of salt and lighter fluid, slosh it up to the rim, and wipe dry. For indoor use, it must have a fireproof base, or your workings will summon up yellow-coated salamander spirits from the fire department.
Hey, if you are trying to summon a honey, if you want a fireman, might be the way to do it.
Oh my god, that's so funny. But like, don't burn your house down for a man, please don't.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the different elemental cauldrons. So the first one is the earth cauldron. I think this is telling you how to season each elemental cauldron. I think this is what this is saying. So it says layer salt, wax shavings, 3 powdered or ground herbs, lighter fluid, and ivy leaves in the cauldron. While focus enchanting, use a candle to light it, and when the smoke starts to roll, extinguish the cauldron by putting the lid on. The next one is the air cauldron. So using tongs, put a chunk of dry ice in a small glass or ceramic bowl and place the bowl on a cloth in the bottom of the cauldron. Allow the cauldron to smoke as long as the ice lasts. The mist creates excellent images for scrying. And we have the fire cauldron. So cover the inside bottom with dirt or sand to dissipate heat. Light incense charcoal and add either saltpeter for flame and spark or flash powder for a different but spectacular effect. To assist in releasing or firing off peak energy, try using flash, quote, bombs. Make a small pocket in a piece of flash paper, fill it with flash powder, and tie with thread. The, quote, bomb should be about the size of your smallest fingernail. The results are spectacularly bright, so use the powder sparingly. Don't look directly at the flash as you drop the bomb in the cauldron. It must be very bright.
I've never seen that.
Yeah. Also, if you don't want to do like something like fire cauldron inside, I think your best bet is to like, go outside. If you're having a bonfire or anything, we bought this at Home Depot. It's, a fire pit, cast iron fire pit, and it's got like the moons and the stars around the side, like the shapes cut out. So it looks most excellently witchy. And have you ever seen those packets you could put in your fire to make it change colors, like blue and like,
yeah,
they're so freaking cool.
they're cool.
Yeah. Some of my friends come over with those all the time, and it just makes the fire feel like really cool. So then the last element on this list is the water cauldron, and this says, at least 7 days before the ritual, place equal quantities of 3 appropriate herbs in a pint glass jar. Fill the rest of the jar with Everclear, 200 proof alcohol, cap tightly and shake gently while concentrating on the purpose of the ritual. Add a chant if it feels right. Let the jar rest in a dark, warm spot and shake twice daily, charging with purpose. Before the ritual, place a fireproof ceramic or a glass bowl in the cauldron. Pour in the herb mixture, being careful none spills into the cauldron. Light with a candle to produce a beautiful blue flame. The cauldron, as the 5th elemental spirit, symbolizes inspiration, rebirth, illumination, and rejuvenation. Use a fire cauldron with saltpeter to cast a circle. Use the mists of an air cauldron for initiation. Burn away hate, prejudice, and negative self-images with a water cauldron. The earth cauldron is ideal for indoor Beltane rites. So remember to place a burning cauldron on a fireproof surface, practice safety when using any volatile materials, and you will enjoy your cauldron for many rites. And I think that was written by the Black Moon community on Facebook. So
good.
There you go.
I do not have a cauldron, but I have a fire pit.
That
So
works.
that will have to do. Yeah.
That works.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all different types of cauldrons, right? You can consider your big pasta boiling pot in your kitchen a cauldron. You could consider your outdoor working space in your fire pit a cauldron. Like, they're all different types of cauldrons. Maybe some don't need water, some you just use with fire. And that's okay. Yeah.
So look at you.
I love me some fire. Well, Sagittarius, hello. I'm a fire sign, so I'm drawn to the fire.
Yeah.
I'm also very scared of it. but like, the elements, they work both ways. Like, they can either bring good or they can bring destruction. So you want to use both with respect. Exactly. Yeah. So tell us about how many ways are there that we can use a witch's cauldron?
Many, but I think we're going to just stick to 5. And this is from solsticesisters.co. So this says that a witch's cauldron is one of the most versatile tools a witch can have on hand. Aside from it dating back centuries as being a center point of witch's hearth for both warmth and cooking food, it has been used in modern years as a vessel for magical workings. Commonly recognized for its womb-like structure, cauldrons are connected deeply with the divine feminine and represent creation, alchemy, and transformation, making it a perfect tool for any spell or ritual. Traditional cauldrons are usually made of black cast iron and form the shape of a round bowl, but in modern days we have other vessels that can be used as cauldrons just as well. Take a regular cooking pot, for instance. It has the womb-like structure to place items and ingredients in for magical workings, just like the traditional cauldron. A tea kettle is another great alternative to traditional cauldron, along with crock pots, Dutch ovens, and even coffee cups. So now that you know what a cauldron is and what it symbolizes, you're probably wondering how you'd use one in your magical practice. You're in luck because we're sharing 5 uses for the witch's cauldron, all of which can be accomplished by beginner witches and experienced witches alike. So let's talk about number 1, burning candles. Many witches use their cauldrons as candle holders when casting candle spells. Not only does it keep the melted wax contained, but it also invites in transformative feminine energy into your spell work. You can also add crystals and herbs to the bottom of your cauldron to amplify the magical properties of your candle spell. It's probably much safer than just having it on the table where your pets can knock into it.
Right.
Number 2, magical brews. Brewing herbal concoctions in your cauldron is a wonderful way to cast spells and increase certain vibrations in your home. Simply simmer herbs on your stovetop to emit their magic into the air. Yeah, simmer pot.
Mhm.
We especially like to brew our happy home mix every week or so to keep the vibrations lifted and positive. Number 3, you can use it for divination. There are multiple ways to use your cauldron for divination purposes, but it also depends on the type of cauldron you're using. Coffee cups are great for tasseomancy. Check out our tea leaf episode. That's tea leaf reading, by the way. While a traditional black cast iron cauldron filled with water would work well for scrying, gazing into the reflective surface to see messages from the divine. Number 4, fire spells. If you're using a fire-safe cauldron, then you can easily cast fire spells using your cauldron. A simple fire spell you can do while using your cauldron is to write a petition on a scrap piece of paper, fold it, then cup it into your hands, infusing the petition with your will and intent. This is kind of what we did in Salem with our
Yeah.
little group spell.
Yeah.
Strike a match and let it burn in your cauldron to cast your spell. Then number 5 is kitchen magic. Using your cauldron for cooking magical meals is likely the most obvious way to use your cauldron, but it's worthy of noting. Simply by using your cauldron for its intended purpose, such as brewing teas, making soup or soap, or even simply to boil water, are all things that can be done with magical touches. Placing your intent into your cooking is the purest and most powerful way to practice kitchen magic. So now you have some ideas what you could use your cauldron for and how to practice magic with it. So get started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a couple other ones, like I've mentioned before, like I've done bay leaf burning rituals in my little handhelds one. And then also I like to, with all the herbs from your garden, you can dry those, make a loose incense, get yourself some of those little charcoal discs, and you can make some loose incense and burn some of that in one of those little handheld ones too. And those are just nice to keep going, if like in the background while you're doing your spell work and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a couple little extra ways that you can use those.
Mm-hmm.
And then also talking about the bigger like one in the bonfire in the backyard, I do my yarrow besom burning ritual before I make my new besom for Lunasa. I burn it on the summer solstice, and then when the yarrow is tall enough to make my new one, I make that more toward Lunasa.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Speaking of kitchen magic, guess what season it is?
What?
It's soup season. And I don't know about you, but I am a soup slut.
Yeah. Okay.
I love me a pot of soup when the season starts getting a little
Me
chilly.
too. Yeah.
And right now in Jersey, it's getting pretty chilly. I busted out my soup pot. I already started making the soup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And they're so easy to like freeze. Just make a huge batch and
Yes.
freeze it for later. I was
Yeah.
in the grocery store probably like right before Hurricane Helene blew through.
Yeah.
And there was a mom and a daughter. I might have told you this already. A mom and a daughter. The daughter's probably like 9. And I hear the mom come around the corner. The daughter said, "Well, why though?" And the mom goes, "Well, I don't know. When it rains, you make chicken noodle soup. I don't make the rules." I kept going. I thought it was so cute.
That's funny. And but like it is like an unspoken rule, I guess. Like it's true. Every time it gets rainy or a little gloomy and a little chilly, I'm like, all right, time to make some chicken soup.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. It
Remember
just
those-
warms the bones. It seeps into all the good crevices.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. Do you remember those books, Chicken Soup for the Soul?
I never read them. Weren't they like very Christian based?
They were Christian based, but some of them were like some really interesting stories. I remember
Never read them.
I remember reading a few of those, and they came with some pretty interesting stories.
It does feed the soul, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Food just is a language of its own.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Recently I made like a tomato-based Italian wedding soup. I usually don't, but like I had some canned tomatoes that I wanted to use, so I just threw those in the damn pot. And that's the beauty about soups is like you can throw anything in the pot. There are no mistakes, there are no rules, there are no wrong way. There is no wrong way to make a soup.
Yep.
It is what
Exactly.
you want to throw in there. That's what you throw in there.
Yeah,
That's it.
totally.
Yeah.
Some of my favorites. So we're going to list off some of our favorites, maybe include a little bit about the recipe, but we want to put these recipes over on the Patreon for you. And my first one that I make, and I just think of my family, and that's a way of me like connecting with the ancestors. I put on the Croatian music.
Aw.
Love some wine because like I'll
Aw.
drink I use about half a bottle of wine in beef bourguignon when I make it. It's probably not the right way to make it, but it was probably the first thing that my dad taught me how to make.
Mhm.
And it's a little intensive. There's certain steps you have to do, but it's so warming. It's usually like beef and potatoes and carrots. You can put mushrooms, beef broth and wine, bacon, onion, and garlic. That's easy. You can add black-eyed peas. You can add jalapeno to warm it up, chili, anything. Like you said, there's no rules. But I just love. Oh my God, I would bathe in it. Another one I want to share is our Croatian dumpling soup. It's not made out of a flour. We use farina. They don't call it farina anymore.
Okay.
What the fuck is it called? Cream of wheat. It's
right.
cream of wheat. And boil some chicken backs or just get chicken stock, get it boiling. And then you mix your cream of wheat with an egg and a little water just till it kind of drops off the spoon into the boil and firms up. So you can add chicken in there,
Yeah.
any veggies you like. I remember when I was young, it was my favorite food, to the degree of like, my parents would be like, okay, we're going to go to McDonald's. What do you want? And I'd be like, do they have chicken or do they have the dumpling soup?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, they don't have dumpling soup at McDonald's.
Wait, you asked for dumpling soup at McDonald's?
Yeah, I was little.
Well, you have standards.
I have standards.
It's funny.
I made one, and it probably is just the memory connected to it. It was my first time in Yosemite, and I made this Smoky Mountain cabin soup, and it was very creamy and cheesy and bacony and thick. It was really thick, and I'm just a slut for cheese. So I'll include that. But the last one, I will get elbow deep in a lobster or a crab bisque any day of the week, and twice on Sundays.
Yeah.
I just love a lobster bisque. So good.
Lobster bisque.
Yeah, I don't have a recipe for one.
I love a good clam chowder. New England.
Oh,
New England.
chowder.
I have to say, Salem, New England Soup Factory. Yeah, they have the best New England clam chowder. Like every time, like me and Avi go, we have to get the New England clam chowder from the Salem Soup Factory.
Yes.
And the same guy has been working there since like
Oh my God.
forever. Since the first time we went there in 2012. He's been there since, and he's always like the cutest, like little. He's so like helpful and accommodating. He's like, "You want to try a sample?" Or, and it's best soup ever there.
Tell me your favorites.
Yeah, so I love me an Italian wedding soup. Traditionally, you make it with like the escarole and like the white beans, but I never have escarole on hand. I always usually have a bag of spinach in the fridge, so I usually substitute spinach for the escarole. Or you can make it with kale. You can make it with any kind of greenery you want. And also, I use like the white beans. I hate kidney beans. They're the bane of my existence.
Oh no, okay.
I'll eat like the white beans, and then I'll put some like sliced carrots, some onion, and then I'll simmer the vegetables in some olive oil, some garlic, and then I'll pour in my chicken stock, and like also put in my herbs. I'll put out like my thyme, salt, pepper, thyme. I keep it simple. And then like once that's all the herbs are simmering and the garlic is simmering with those veggies, and they start to like soften, and the onions turn translucent, then you put in your chicken stock or vegetable stock, whatever you want to use. And I'll usually put like 1 part chicken stock to 1 part water. Like if I don't have enough chicken stock, I'll just add more water if I need more broth. Yeah. And then I'll let that come to a boil. And then while that's like going, I'll roll my meatballs. I usually do like turkey meatballs. I'm not really a fan of ground beef. I love like the—
Are they real little? The one, remember I told you I worked at an Italian restaurant and they were like little minis. They were so good.
I make mine meaty. I make mine like this size.
Oh my God.
They're huge meatballs, but it's so filling. Like you could add pasta or rice to it if you want to, but like if you make your meatballs big enough, it's very hearty. You probably don't even need to add like anything extra. And it's just so good and so toasty on like a cold rainy night. I love me some meatball soup. Yeah, so, and if you're gonna add a pasta, I usually like to make those like little, they're called acini pepe. They're like the little balls. If you ever had like the Progresso soups, it's like, they're like those little ball pastas. So I'll put some of that in it if I'm
hungry.
Decide to make a pasta. Yeah, me too. Soup, I could eat soup any day. Anytime, any night. And I'll make a pot of soup on like a Monday and I'll eat it through the whole week. So I also love me some pasta fagioli, some split pea soup with the ham. My family makes ham on, Thanksgiving? So when they're done with like the ham bone, I'll take the rest of whatever's on the bone, I'll cut off the ham bits and then I'll throw that into like a split pea soup and I'll eat that leftover ham, and I'll make a soup out of the left. Soup is also a great way to just like get rid of leftovers.
Yes, absolutely. Or any like extra bones or any like extra fiddly shit that comes off your meat.
Right.
Oh,
yeah. And also, my family is really extra. Not only do we make ham, we also obviously make the traditional turkey on Thanksgiving. So my dad will make the turkey soup, and then he'll give me the ham bone to make the split pea soup.
Oh, that's
we'll
nice.
like go back and forth to each other's house. through the week after Thanksgiving to have leftover ham soup and turkey soup. So
Adorable. That's so
yeah.
cute.
And then also lentil soup with little bacon bits, really good. Lasagna soup which is actually a recipe I picked up from a YouTuber named Laura in the Kitchen. Love her recipes. I found her channel and like I've made a few of her recipes now, and I friggin' love. She puts like different spins on classics, which I love. She also has a rendition of like a meatball French onion soup, which I haven't tried yet, but I have my eye on it and I want to try this so bad. It looks so good. If you love French onion soup and you love Italian wedding soup, it's like a cross between the two. So I'm dying to try this. I'm gonna try it. But spinning off from the French onion soup, the traditional way, is my favorite too. I love going to like a little watering hole, like a little tavern or something, and just getting some French onion soup and a pint of beer, and it's just like
comes out in that really hot crock.
yeah, that's its own little cauldron, right? A little cauldron of French onion soup. So French onion soup is traditionally served in deep porcelain bowls. Do you know what they're called? Have you ever heard a lion head bowl?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what they're called. It says in the early days of French onion soup, it was inexpensive to make because restaurants could keep a large pot of broth simmering and add in inexpensive ingredients like onions and croutons. And it makes plenty of soup, right? Even after the bread soaks up some of the soup, there's still plenty left in the deep bowl because those are pretty deep, those little cauldrons.
Put anything in a bread bowl, any kind of soup in a bread bowl. I'm there.
I know, you made your own bread bowls, right?
I did. I need to do that again.
Right, with some broccoli cheddar soup.
Oh my God. Yes. We got to get through this episode. I'm eating after this.
Panera makes some really good broccoli cheddar soup, and they also serve it in bread bowls. Yeah, I guess bread bowl could also be considered a cauldron because it's holding soup, right?
Yeah, a living or a living cauldron.
An edible cauldron, right? And French onion soup is known for its cheesy topping, which is made by covering a slice of toasted baguette with grated Gruyere cheese and broiling until the cheese bubbles and forms a golden crust. And you can use a knife to cut through the cheese and the bread. And I just
slurp it up.
If you love cheese, if you love bread, if you love soup,
onions,
yeah, it's the perfect dish.
I love that.
So give that a try.
Before we go, we want to tell you how to take care of your cauldron and keep it clean, not just physically, but magically. So let's get into some advice on what to avoid when choosing a cauldron for use in witchcraft or just in general. So firstly, look carefully at how the legs are attached to the base of the cauldron. Do not buy any cauldron with legs that have been riveted on rather than cast on all in one piece. Those with riveted legs always leak and will do so sooner or later. Do not buy a cauldron where there is a lot of rust that has corroded the iron to make the base too thin, so it is almost breakable. Rust is fine. It is to be expected with an old cauldron, but too much rust is another matter altogether. Do not buy brass or copper cauldrons. If you intend to use them to make potions or drinks, the metal can contaminate the liquid, and so iron is best. If all you're going to use your cauldron for is burning incense inside it, it doesn't matter if it's copper, brass, iron, or bronze. Don't buy a cauldron that is made of pewter. Any direct heat applied to it will cause it to melt like a candle, and indeed, you can melt pewter over a candle flame. It doesn't have to have a lid, and most old antique cauldrons either never had them in the first place or have lost them at some point in time because the previous owner didn't want to use the lid. Do not ever buy plastic. Plastic is of no use for any general purpose, but dragging and carrying an immense water-filled cast iron cauldron to the middle of the woods is not very practical. So then, of course, there's the problem with hitchhikers.
What?
No.
Hitchhikers.
It's they go on to say from around the mid 1990s, cauldrons began to be made with the Wiccan market in mind and were cast with pentagrams and triple moons, etc. They are well made and are inexpensive. Personally, they prefer the traditional unembellished style, but if the type below appeals to you, then you just pick out what speaks to you. So now you want to know where to buy your cauldron and how to look after it. Even Amazon sells them, as well as eBay. Old ones come up on eBay sometimes at reasonable prices and sometimes at prices bordering on insanely expensive. Also, just because the seller says it's a cauldron doesn't mean it is. It has to look like one and not just a pot or a bowl. Sellers can put the word cauldron into the description to attract naive and unwary buyers, usually as Halloween approaches. Having bought your cauldron, you need to clean it with a wire brush and then warm soapy water. Check for leaks at this stage, and if any water, no matter how little, is leaking out, return it to the seller, get your money back. Leaks have a tendency to get worse under heat and over time. So once cleaned, you need to, quote, prove the cauldron. All you need is 1 to 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Maybe this is their word for seasoning. Proof. olive oil and some salt, depending on the size of the cauldron. Pour the oil into the pan and sprinkle salt liberally all over the sides. Heat over moderate heat until smoking hot. Then carefully rub the salt and oil well into the pan with a paper towel. Remove from the heat and wipe dry. Proving or seasoning provides a natural protective Teflon coating, which is non-stick. So if you season it right, you won't even have to use like a spray. It's just going to be non-stick. Take care of your Teflon. Justina has included a little bit of soup kitchens, like the history of soup kitchens here. We'll have the link. It's very interesting.
The history of soup kitchens in America can be traced back to the year 1929 with the effects of a growing depression. So when soup kitchens first appeared, they were run by churches or private charities, and they served mostly soup and bread. And soup was economical because water could be added to serve more people. So soup kitchens continued to exist for the homeless and struggling families across America. So
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, we'll include this little bit of history from the soupkitchen.org if you guys want to go down that rabbit hole.
But cauldronandbrew.com has another way to keep your cauldron physically clean. They say most cauldrons are made of cast iron these days. For cleaning, you want to use a tiny bit of water, a wedge of lemon, and a handful of chunky salt as an abrasive. You could use soap, but it can linger and cast iron cannot be left to soak in water. Don't put it in your dishwasher.
No.
Once you are done scoring and cleaning, dry it thoroughly. Cast iron is very porous and can rust easily. When all the cleaning is done, be sure to re-season it for your use. Usually, Erin has done a really great job with our cast iron. When we clean it, you can use chainmail, or we have like a steel wool, but just scrape off all that food and we'll run a little bit of water in it just to clean it out, wipe it dry. And if you really want to go the extra mile, crank up your oven, put a little olive oil, wipe it down. You can wipe down the whole thing and then stick the pan upside down in your oven for a little while just to get that to soak in a little more.
Yeah.
That's how we do it here.
Yeah. Avi's the witch in our house as far as the cast iron skillets go. I'm so fucking lazy. Give me a stainless steel soup pot and I'm good. Like I could throw that in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
Like if I have to clean something,
I know.
fuck that shit. So Avi, he cooks most of the steak and he bakes the sourdough bread. So he does a lot of like the cast iron cooking.
Yeah.
And then I'm like stainless steel because I'm fucking lazy as shit. So I let him.
The only other cookware is ceramic, and it's like don't put that in the dishwasher either. So either way, I have to clean something.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
All right. Lastly, to magically clean while doing the physical cleaning, imagine dumping all the negativity out. When you pour the lemon and salt water out, see in your mind's eye any gray, dirty energy leaving. Let the drain carry any negativity out and away from you, your home, and your tool. When you reseason the cauldron, imagine filling the porous material with love and care. Set your intention on honoring your tool that serves you so well. Once you are done, give it and any other spirit helpers a thanks for their help.
Cute. Maybe thank Hestia, the goddess of the hearth, right?
Yes.
The hearth in the home.
Perfect.
Yeah, I love that. This was a fun little, not short and sweet, but like, I feel like
It had a lot. It had murder. It had history.
more than people alive.
Yeah.
Squatting.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything. Mixed bag. All right. If you guys do want to support the podcast on Patreon, you can support us for as little as $1 a month. That's our seedling tier, and that gets you access to our patron-only polls where you get to weigh in on what topics you would like us to talk about next. It also gets you our monthly calendar so you can see what topics we have coming up for the month, and it also gets you a welcome shout out on the show. Our $3 lavender bud tier gets you our show notes for each episode in an aesthetically pleasing PDF, our after hours posts, if there's any extra tidbits or behind the scenes info pertaining to any of our episodes, we'll post those along with a blog post or extra photos, and access to our specially curated Spotify playlists. We have created playlists for our WMSR episodes as well as Production Dream playlists for each song episode, and more. Our $5 Lilac tier gets you access to our private Facebook community where we host a monthly live stream. Plus, you'll get access to our Discord server where we host our monthly watch parties. And also on the Discord, you can join in on the discussion with other Magnolia Street neighbors via the various interesting channels and threads. And then here's the $8 Rose tier. This gets you access to extra audio-visual content such as a once-a-month full-length video episode, unlimited bonus videos, uncut footage, cutting room floor footage, footage, bloopers, outtakes, meditations, exclusive interviews, and old home videos from the vault, or spell or ritual videos, and more. It also gets you bonus content to coincide with our song-episodes, such as full-length demo streams of our original Practical Magic inspired music, plus lyric sheets, guitar chords, and original scratch demos, or bonus video performances of our songs and more. Lastly, we have our $15 Wisteria Vine tier. Just like a twisting Wisteria Vine, there's a way for you to stay connected with us, the Stinas. In this tier, we invite you to join our private Marco Polo video messaging app. The app is totally free for both Android and iOS. Sign up with your phone number or email, and we will help you do the rest. This is a great way to chat with each other in a more intimate group setting, face-to-face via video recording. We love to show each other our pets, our gardens, or anything else you'd like to share. And just a reminder that the higher the tier you sign up under, the more rewards you get, because you get all of the rewards of the tiers below it. You can upgrade or downgrade or even cancel at any time. So to support the podcast, head to patreon.com/Magnolia Street Podcast.
Yeah, and there are additional ways to support us and our podcast that don't cost you any money. If you do listen on Spotify, please give us a star rating. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please give us a written review. We love sharing those on our Instagram. And if you're on Instagram, we would really appreciate any reposts or blurbs about our podcast. And make sure to tag us at Magnolia Street Podcast in your feed, posts, stories, and share us with your Practical Magic loving friends. Check out our Teespring. All the links are in our show notes and over on our Instagram, Magnolia Street Podcast.
Yeah, anything else we got?
That's it.
We're running out of time, so we're going to cut this one short here. So I'm Justina.
I'm Christina.
And we'll see you next time.
At the house on Magnolia Street, would you